Pirates Fire Dragon Roar Chapter 161-180. Chapter 161 King's Execution Platform. The huge pirate ship ignored the riots in the town below, and flew forward leisurely. There was no way. Who made the captain of this ship a daring fellow? Never willing to care about the feelings of others, Vlad is a pirate after all. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Platinum, Drager is a wide street that spreads straight ahead. On both sides of the street, without exception, are some shops that have closed in a hurry. It can be seen from here that this street is usually open to the public. Prosperity, you can see the difference in Logatown. Platinum, Drager is not slow. In other words, the speed of this pirate ship that has never been seen on the blue sea is far beyond that of its colleagues who rely on wind sailing, even if it is not at full strength. Flying, but such a speed is still not to be underestimated. So soon this wide street has flown to the end. Although Logatown is prosperous, it is only a town after all, and its area is still limited. So a few people from the Fire Dragon pirates saw a square, an empty square. This is also natural. Seeing this spaceship flying here, the residents of Logatown have no reason to gather in this direction. It is not looking for death. Yes, dealing with pirates is originally Marine's business. These civilians are the Marine Colonel Smoker stationed here in detail. So far, there is no pirate he can't deal with. Oh, is that the place? Vlad stood on the head of the bow of the ship and smiled. The ship was not flying high, so he could easily see the somewhat crude high platform. The support was made of steel. After 20 years, it was finally some of the rust is mottled, and the table above is made of wood. It can be seen that it has been maintained. The wood is old and new, and the color difference is still obvious. Is this the place? The chef leaned on the side of the boat and said with some emotion in his tone, "Is this where One Piece King of Pirates ends?" "Oh, yes, the King of the Sea, the greatest pirate." Vlad's eyes were full of smiles. Gol D. Roger really ended here. Oh. Serena looked at the execution platform with some excitement. This is the King's execution platform. It's not as majestic as I imagined. What nonsense. Miss Musician. Vlad burst out in music. This is an execution platform, not a palace. How could the government build a magnificent execution platform for the biggest and worst criminals in the world? It didn't cut it directly at Kashiko. It's a matter of respect for him. Kashiko. The maid with her arms folded raised her eyebrows. Why is it Kashiko? Why, can I say it is the difference between Eastern and Western cultures? Vlad didn't answer, turned his head and smiled. I want to go upstairs to see. How about you? I'm going too. Serena naturally wouldn't reject Vlad's proposal. Rather, this woman has always been eager to take risks. Is this an adventure for now? I want to see it too. The final destination of One Piece King of Pirates, no matter what, as long as the pirates don't want to miss it. The chef replied with a smile. No interest, no interest. The maid's tone was impatient, as if she was really not interested at all. Ah ha ha ha. That means everyone wants to go see it. Vlad laughed loudly, and wrapped his arms around his three partners. Hey, Captain Tooth, did I say I'm not interested? The maid didn't struggle much, but her tone was extremely helpless. Well, we've already come, can't we just leave you alone on the boat? And tooth decay is a forbidden language. Vlad jumped off the spaceship with three people directly in his arms. The Platinum, Drager didn't fly very high. For Vlad, such a height was completely a distance of nothing, even if it was still in his hand. Holding three people is the same. Bang! Some dull voices sounded, and the four people landed on the square, just before the rusted execution platform. Vlad let go of his hand and stared blankly at the not-so-tall execution platform in front of him. That's it, pirates! Such a shout was accompanied by a rumbling sound and approached quickly. A man riding a smoking motorcycle, Marine's Supreme Commander stationed in Logatown, the White Hunter, Smoker appeared. Behind him, was running fast, slowly gathering Marines. Me. The huge pirate ship was suspended overhead, and Smoker could easily see the propellers sticking out of the cabin. There was no doubt that the ship was flying with these propellers. This alone dispelled his previous doubts. Because the person he guessed before doesn't need these things, he himself is the overlord of the sky. Smoker is located under the flying pirate ship, Platinum, Drag, so naturally he can't see the pirate flag of the Fire Dragon pirates fluttering in the wind, but this man didn't tell Vlad and his group because his guesses failed. Take it lightly, no matter where you are, the power to fly is extremely rare, let alone a ship that can fly. This pirate group is probably not simple. Oh, Marine. Chef Vivi looked back with a surprised look. Didn't you recognize our pirate flag? The highest Marine branch stationed in the Four Seas is the colonel of the headquarters, right? How dare you attack us with such a fighting force? Well, Cook. Vlad didn't look back and smiled. Don't underestimate Marine, they are the real overlords of the sea, even the four emperors are only silver medalists in front of them. Brave Marines are everywhere, don't think that if you are strong enough, others will be afraid. How can a righteous Marine be afraid of evil? So this guy here is a righteous Marine. The maid said so. Who knows? Vlad smiled, I'm going to go up and have a look, these Marines will be yours. Don't worry, Mr. Captain. The chef's smile is always light, and there are few laughs like Vlad's, but such a smile makes people feel extremely reassuring. This man is undoubtedly a very reliable partner. I want to go up and see too. Serena raised her hand. Of course, no problem. Vlad smiled and hugged Miss Musician's slender waist, and with a slight jump, he had already jumped onto the execution platform. Che, is the target really the execution platform? Smoker, who is galloping close, is distinctively holding two cigars. He is highly recognizable and has a very unhappy expression on his face, are all pirates so unscrupulous? Smoker doesn't know how many pirate gangs want to visit the execution platform in a year. For pirates, One Piece, King of Pirates, is an existence like faith. As the car got closer, Smoker had already seen the faces of the two people in the audience, and then, in just a split second, the expression on the man's face changed suddenly. Why are these guys here? Chapter 162 Pirates and Marine. Of course, Smoker knows the chef and the maid. In other words, as long as they are officers from the headquarters, there are few officers who do not know these people. After all, the Fire Dragon pirates are not some unknown pirates. It is not easy to encounter a monster-level pirate group with a reward of only 3 people, but the entire group can exceed 10,000. For Smoker, these guys are even more familiar. After all, his most beloved teacher Zephyr was beaten by the captains of these guys and lived in the courtyard for a long time. As a disciple, this is extremely angry. Zephyr, the prestige in Marine is not built, even the current 3 admiral can't match him. For Zephyr's disciples, the desire to avenge their teacher cannot be erased no matter what. Of course, Smoker thought so too. Although he knew very well that trying to avenge Mr. Zephyr by his own strength would be tantamount to courting death, but the so-called intention is such a thing. So, naturally, Smoker recognized the identity of the chef and the maid in just an instant, and Marine was always extremely sensitive to pirates. So, that guy. Smoker's eyes fell on the 2 guys on the execution platform, as that guy Vlad the Fire Dragon. The Fire Dragon Vlad is not a nobody in the whole world. Zone mythical Fire Dragon fruit ability is amazing, and the first bounty has reached a terrifying 750 million, even in the new world. It's a high amount. Fire Dragon pirates, although I don't know why such guys appear here, but there is no doubt about one thing. Smoker knows very well that the Marines under his command have no power to fight against such opponents. Yes, this world has always been like this, power is the only one. Smoker didn't hesitate at all, the speed of the motorcycle didn't slow down at all, and he rushed straight towards the chef and the maid without any intention of braking. If he backed away just because he couldn't beat him, then Smoker wouldn't be in this place. Since the first day he became a Marine, Smoker has made up his mind to dedicate himself to his own justice. Hey! Was a sharp rubbing sound, and Smoker made a handsome flick of his tail, and the huge motorcycle swept along a rounded trajectory, leaving a long black mark on the ground. Pirates, this is the end. Smoker drew his 10 hands out of his back, his voice flat. Oh, Marine. Maid chuckled, are all Marines in the world so arrogant? Or do the pirates here don't know how to resist? Probably didn't recognize our flag. Chef said with a smile, after all, it's just a Marine from all over the world. Fire Dragon Pirates, Evil Chef Dino, Battle Maid Baby 5, I have heard your 2 names before. Smoker said so. Huh, do you know us? It's the chef's turn to be a little surprised. Even if you already know our identity, do you still have the guts to arrest us? The maid smiled mockingly, is this what you call ignorance and fearlessness? Well, who knows? Smoker exhaled slowly, his expression not fluctuating, you can't do nothing, right? Me. The chef said in surprise, can't you do nothing? This is indeed a righteous Marine. The captain is right. The chef thought so. Since he already knows their identities, there is no reason to not know their strength. Even so, he dares to stand up. I have to say that this Marine is indeed a very aggressive guy. Colonel Smoker. With such a voice, a group of Marine soldiers finally rushed over, led by the woman with eyes. Stop, Tashigi. Smoker shouted loudly without turning his head. Smoker, Colonel. Tashigi was a little confused. Go back, Tashigi, don't take part in the next battle. Smoker said so. In other words, are we still going to fight? The chef looked helpless, he didn't like fighting. The other party is Marine. The maid said. That's right, it's a very simple truth. It has nothing to do with good or evil, just because the other party is Marine and he is a pirate, just so that both sides can start a desperate fight. You or me. The maid said so. Well. The chef looked distressed, this is a good opponent, but it's just a little weak. The maid understands that the chef is a guy who respects others very much, and he respects the opponent he likes even more. He is afraid to directly kill the Marine in front of him. This is the way this man named Dino is, the more he likes the opponent, the better. It is very strange that he will not show mercy. Well then, I'll deal with him. Maid stepped forward, since the captain said he didn't want to be disturbed, then I won't let any guy disturb him. The maid always listened to Vlad. Hey, Marine, if you want to die. Maid said, then let the horses come. Stop being arrogant, pirates. Smoker took a deep breath and yelled, Justice is your enemy right now. PFF'd. Smoker's right arm burst open, turning into a cloud of white smoke, white fist. In front of the arm that swelled into white smoke was a thick fist, and the move called the white fist slammed directly at the maid. Logia. The maid looked very surprised. Among the 3 types of devil fruits, the Logia fruit is the most rare, and it is far more precious than Paramesha and Zone. The elementalization alone has made Logia capable people above ordinary people. Above the ability. Smoker's smoke fruit is not very powerful in Logia, but in East Blue, it is unmatched and powerful, but, unfortunately, today's Smoker encounters a maid from the New World. No wonder you are so confident. The maid smiled, not paying any attention to the incoming white fist. It seems that Logia's ability has indeed given you a lot of confidence. However, isn't it a bit too underestimating? Maid Vivi turned sideways, easily dodging Smoker's white fist. Crush. The maid's right arm suddenly turned into a long sword. Don't you know that blindly extending your body in front of hockey users is purely an act of courting death? PFF'd. It was clearly white smoke, but when a knife was stabbed in it, red blood flowed out. Ah! Smoker let out a miserable cry, and the smoke fist slammed back, and the maid didn't stop it. The smoke quickly returned to Smoker's side and recondensed into his arm. The obvious wound appeared on his arm. The wound was deep and bloody. DC. Is it really hockey? Smoker gritted his teeth. Chapter 163 Enel's Logatown Tour Part 2. Smoker knew about hockey. After all, he was a general trained by Zephyr. Of course, he was very familiar with hockey's tricks, which can be said to be a bad street in the Marine headquarters. But he is not good at hockey himself. Smoker with a Logia devil fruit will naturally focus more on the development of the fruit's ability. No one will think there is anything wrong with this. It has a more obvious advantage and it is stupid not to use it. Therefore, Smoker's hockey cultivation base is not very good, almost nothing. Compared with hockey, it is obviously his fruit ability that is better to use. So, he is now in trouble. Smoke fruit. Maid smiled, it seems that I restrained you very much. The smoke does not have direct lethality like magma flames, but some are just binding, so the maid can touch the smoke of the smoker as she wants without worrying about being injured. The maid who can turn her body into a weapon is using it. After that, hockey can easily damage the smoker who turned into smoke, just like the maid herself said, she is really restrained by Smoker. Colonel Smoker. Seeing that the invincible Smoker was injured, the Marine soldiers who followed behind all looked like they had collapsed. They didn't know that the power named Hockey could hurt the invincible Logia-capable person. Don't come here. Smoker yelled, the enemy is not something you can handle. Oil ground. The chef's voice came just right, and the two hands sprayed some turbid lubricating oil like a high-pressure water gun, and rushed directly to the Marine soldiers. Ah! Screams came one after another, and the Marine soldiers fell to the ground in an instant, even the Tashigi was no exception. Fortunately, the chef was merciful, otherwise, the impact of the oil alone would be enough for these guys to drink a pot. Everyone, please be quiet. Marine soldiers struggling on the slippery ground, it's better to leave their fight alone. Dash 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 dash. In some dimly lit bars, there is not a single customer, only an aging boss standing behind the bar quietly wiping his glass. The dim light falls on the old man, you can see that the old man is smiling. Crack. The door of the bar was pushed open gently, and a man walked in. Welcome, guest. Boss smiled and said, what do you want? The visitor walked into the bar but did not speak, and looked around, as if curious. Guests. The boss is a little surprised, what does this mean? Are you here for sightseeing? Is this a bar? Someone asked. Yeah, this is the bar. Boss is somewhat clear, is this the first time the guest has come to the bar? What's your business? The visitor sat in front of the bar with a very aggressive tone. Ha ha. The boss didn't care either, he smiled, poured a glass of beer and placed it in front of the visitor, smiling, since this is the first time the guest has come to the bar, then this glass of wine should be treated as if I invited you. Quote. PFF'd. The person who came took a big sip of the wine glass, and immediately spit it out. Do you actually use such a thing to entertain the god? It was none other than the former god of Sky Island, a passenger on the Platinum, Drager, Enel. This man looked annoyed, do you want to die? Ha 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 ha. The boss not only didn't mean to be scared at all, but laughed and slapped the counter continuously, obviously very happy. Hasn't the guest ever been drinking? Enel felt insulted, are you looking down on the god? Hey, don't be angry. Guest. Boss smiled and waved his hand, I'm already an old man, but I can't stand the toss of a young man like you. HMPH. Enel snorted coldly, old man, thank God for his mercy. Ha 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 ha, then thank you. Guest, no, Lord God. Boss smiled and put a glass of wine in front of Enel again, then Lord God, let's try this. Fruit wine, maybe it suits your taste. You'd better stop fooling this god, God's patience is limited. Enel took the fruit wine from the boss's hand, and he wanted to drink it because of the name of the fruit wine. Enel, a man who unexpectedly likes fruit, is used to it much better than a certain tooth decay captain. Hey! Taking the first sip, Enel's eyes widened, a taste that had never been seen in Sky Island. Gudong. A glass of wine quickly bottomed out. Enel licked his lips, and the boss smiled and poured another glass of wine in front of him. Well, Enel said in surprise, what? Are you trying to please the god? To please? Maybe it really is. The boss is a very heroic man, laughing loudly. After all, there are very few people here. I can't find anyone if I want to chat. Humph. Enel snorted and took the wine from the boss's hand. Is the guest a pirate? The boss asked with a tone of unequivocal confidence. No. Enel neatly poured a large glass of wine into his stomach, looked at the glass in his hand with strange eyes, and then replied, this god has always been just a god. Ha 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 ha. Boss laughed. Did you look away? It's really shameful, but the guests really look like pirates. Humph. Enel snorted coldly. Bang. A large glass of wine was placed in front of Enel. It was not the fruit wine he drank just now, but the wine that the boss poured to him before. Guests, try this. It's better. Well, the guests are not pirates. The boss rambled and said, but no matter how you look at the guest, it should be a pirate. Who? Enel eagerly looked at the glass of wine with a high degree of alcohol, and when he heard the boss's words, he said with great interest, why do you know a lot about pirates, old man? Of course. The old man replied, of course, I've been running a bar here for decades, and there are quite a few pirates. You are a real pirate. Really? Is that why you invited me to drink? Enel picked up the glass. Ha ha ha, isn't it a matter of course to give a glass of wine to the men wandering in the sea? The old man smiled like a withered chrysanthemum. Yeah ha ha ha. Enel laughed, noncommittal. Gul D. Roger. Enel said, old man, do you understand this man? Gul D. Roger. The old man took off the hat on his head, revealing the top of his head with few hairs. This is really a long-lost name. Chapter 164 Indomitable Justice. Is this the last view of One Piece, King of Pirates? Vlad stood on the stand, which was not very tall, and smiled. The unremarkable scenery was nothing special. For a man like Vlad who had been rolling on the sea for so long, there was nothing at all. Attraction, after all, it is also the New World paradise that has been roaming all over the world. What other scenery is worthy of Vlad's shock? Standing on the execution platform and looking down, there is really nothing worth noting. It is an unremarkable square. At most, there are now a group of pirates and marine fighting fiercely. It is not a rare sight. However, it was such an unremarkable place that Vlad felt a rare rush of excitement. It was a thrill from the heart. There was no way, just because this was the place where One Piece, King of Pirates, walked his whole life. Who is the greatest pirate? If it was in Vlad's previous life, there must be different opinions. After all, everyone has their favorite characters, but only after they really come to this world will they know. Everyone admits that the most outstanding pirate is named Gul D. Roger, even as rebellious as Golden Lion, even as cruel as Akainu, admits it. In front of this man, all the pirates are just silver medalists, there is no doubt about it. After all, there is only one throne, and the name of the man sitting on it is Gul D. Roger. Mr. Captain, this is the king's execution platform. Serena looked around, looking a little surprised. Why does it make me feel very wrong even though there is nothing special about it? What's there to wonder about? Miss Musician, what's there to wonder about? Vlad said without turning his head, because this is the execution platform of One Piece, King of Pirates. Based on this alone, even a humble place will become great. Serena nodded understandingly. Begins here and ends here. Vlad smiled, what a long and great one. One Piece, King of Pirates. Vlad seems to have seen it. On that day 20 years ago, the man in handcuffs walked onto the execution platform step by step, and then sat on the execution platform casually, watching the audience. The dense crowd of people, presumably even he is emotional, right? The will passed down from generation to generation, the tide of the times, the dreams of people, these are all unstoppable. As long as people continue to pursue free solutions, everything will never stop. Vlad understands this very well, and Roger understands it even more, so there is the era of the great pirates. What heroes go out to look for is not as simple as one piece. What they are looking for is the solution for freedom and the changes of the times. This is the main theme of the great pirate age. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad laughed, a very pleasant smile, which made people puzzled. Mr. Captain. Serena was a little confused. Great job, Roger. Vlad smiled, what a beautiful job. Quote. The musician had absolutely no idea what his captain was laughing at. Well, if I had to choose. Vlad grinned, I will definitely choose this method. Wouldn't it be boring if I die of old age honestly? How come you have to be vigorous? Vlad thought so. Serena looked at Vlad without speaking. Under the execution stand, the battle is fierce. The white smoke filled the air, far thicker than the fog, as if it was about to condense into a solid. Bang! The huge fist made of white smoke hit the ground heavily, and the hard floor could not resist such force at all, and it shattered in an instant, and a large pothole appeared in the square. But the owner of Smoke Fist is not happy, because there are not many such potholes in this square. After all, the battle has started for a long time. No matter how powerful the attack is, it is meaningless if it fails to hit. Smoker is deep. I understand this deeply. I have never understood it like this. The opponent is really difficult to deal with. Is this just the number 3 character on the opponent's ship? Do you feel helpless when you just dodge? Smoker didn't know about Enel's existence. Of course, this guy Enel was only a passenger on the Platinum Drager, not a partner. From this perspective, the maid was indeed number 3. Oh, Marine, did you miss lunch? Maid sneered, isn't this a hit? The maid's posture is very wrong. Although there is no huge change in the body shape, you can find that this woman's appearance is definitely wrong without looking closely. There were a lot of small holes in the joints of the body, and something similar to an exhaust hole protruded, which was not obvious. Cut. White smoke launcher. Smoker snorted coldly, and the lower half of his body suddenly turned into white smoke, generating a huge thrust, like a thruster, and the force suddenly pushed his body in the direction of the maid. Yeah, Tilda. The maid folded her hands and said inexplicably, you also have a propeller. This is really fate. Woo. Smoker didn't pay any attention to the maid's words, and the 10 hands in his hands smashed directly at the maid. As long as the 10 hands inlaid with sea stone on the top touched the woman's body, the battle would end immediately, no doubt. Ho ho. The maid smiled, without the slightest movement, as if she was letting Smoker attack, but, it seemed, after all, the maid was not Logia's ability after all. Being hit by a physical attack would still be injured, so she chose to avoid it. Scoff. Some deep voices sounded, and the fumarole on the maid suddenly spewed out blue flames. The huge driving force instantly applied to the whole body, and the maid's body disappeared in front of Smoker's eyes like a phantom. Damn. Smoker Going's body stopped suddenly, and the opponent's speed was difficult to deal with. Bang. The pitch-black fist slammed heavily on Smoker's back, and the maid suddenly disappeared and appeared again, invisible and invisible. Smoker couldn't catch her at all. A few fumaroles emerged from the position of his right arm and elbow, and a faint blue flame appeared, pushing the maid to punch heavily. Weapon, burst iron fist. PFF'd. Smoker immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood, and along with the sound of caracalla, bone cracks, he could clearly feel that at least several of his bones were broken, not necessarily even his spine was severely injured. Whoosh. The smoker was heavily knocked into the air, and smashed through a house in the distance. The smoke and dust generated by the impact were still moving towards the rear. That's right, Miss Maid. Vlad jumped off the execution platform, looked at the maid's victory, and smiled. This should be called the loophole form, right? It's burst mode. The maid rolled her eyes. Woo ha 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 ha, it doesn't matter. Vlad smiled, since we've finished what we wanted to see, let's, Vlad looked at the group of sailors who were soaked in oil and stood in front of him, Marine. Pirates, you are under arrest. The girl at the head had a firm tone. Chapter 165 Bacchus Enel. Pirates, you are under arrest. Named Tashigi held the knife in both hands, the tip of the knife pointed straight at Vlad's nose. Her eyes were extremely firm, and the hands holding the knife were very steady. Although this woman was not a first-class swordsman, she was only with the calmness of holding the knife. Vlad will give her a high look. After all, this woman has no reason to be unclear, and she is facing a powerful enemy that she absolutely cannot defeat. Even if she knew she would die, she still dared to stand in front of her in order to implement her justice. Even Vlad couldn't say that this woman was weak. Such courage was not ugly. Arrest. Vlad smiled. Are you going to arrest us? I'm sorry, Miss Marine, we don't have time to play pirates with you. Our adventures can't be stopped because of your obstruction. Adventure. Tashigi took a step forward. Her delicate face was full of anger. She raised her sword with both hands high, and slashed fiercely at Vlad's shoulder. Stop joking. Pirates. When? The famous knife named Xiaoyishiu slashed directly on Vlad's shoulder, and the sound of a golden and iron mingling came from the place where the blade communicated with the body. Of course Vlad would not be so stupid to use his skin to resist the knife, just a little bit. Hockey entanglement has already made this woman unable to break the defense. The Great Age of Pirates. One hit was unsuccessful, and Tashigi raised the knife and slashed again. When? The era of sea heroes chasing their dreams. When? The freest time. When? The pirate flag is calling you. When? Freedom to sail, free and easy adventure. When? One Piece, King of Pirates. When? Tashigi's matching knife slashed heavily on Vlad's shoulder, and Vlad's beloved cloak was full of nicks. Stop talking to me. Tashigi roared. How many people in the world can't sleep at night because of your adventures? How many people are innocent victims because of your adventures? The era of the freest pirates did not bring freedom, but countless criminals and in the name of freedom has come to sea. Ding! Tashigi stabbed directly in Vlad's chest, and the routine returned without success. Pirates, no matter how nice the name is, it is still evil after all. The female marine roared. Are we going to put you in the ocean just like this, so that more people will have trouble sleeping and eating because of your existence? Don't, you underestimate justice. Pirates. Bang. Vlad waved his fist lightly and hit Tashigi's face directly. This beautiful female marine instantly fell to the ground. Although Vlad didn't use much force, it was enough to make the woman's head go dizzy and couldn't get up again. Huh, it's really annoying to babble. Vlad licked his ears and swaggered forward. Do women talk so much? No. Serena replied. Humph. The maid snorted coldly. PFF'd. A low voice sounded, and a white smoke shot from the ruins in the distance. Smoker, whose upper body was still in human form, was full of blood. Don't even think about going anywhere. Pirates. That's true. Maid's eyes dropped, tangled. Crush. A few blowholes appeared on the maid again, and the burst mode was turned on again. With the breath of the blue flame, the woman disappeared again, and the speed was even higher than that of Rob Lucci's shave that day. If you just lie down and don't move, nothing will happen. The next moment the maid appeared in midair, directly above Smoker. Why do you want to die? Marine. Bang. The slender right leg turned into a huge hammer, wrapped in the dark armament hockey, and slammed heavily on Smoker's back. Kaka. Even Vlad in the distance could clearly hear the sound of bone cracks. Smoker's eyes bulged suddenly, and his body was terribly twisted as if it were folded in half. Boom. The soaring dust overflowed, and a huge pothole appeared on the square. Smoker lay quietly at the bottom of the pit, only twitching occasionally, and could no longer move. Woo. Maid exhaled slowly, boring. Ah. Vlad laughed. Okay, let's go. He smiled, and the many Marines in front of him had no intention of blocking them at all, and the horror was visible to the naked eye, and yes, such an enemy was something they had never met before. Pirates. Vlad lowered his head. The girl named Tashigi stubbornly pressed his trouser legs. Her face was swollen high, and she no longer looked as beautiful as before. Don't try to run. Even standing up is a difficult thing, knowing that he is definitely not an opponent, but still dares to challenge his opponent. It is no wonder that Marine is the most powerful force in the sea, even if it is as powerful as the four emperors. In front of them, after all, they are only second-rate forces. The guys in the branch are like this. How persistent are those monsters in the headquarters? Well, Miss Marine. Vlad's legs shook lightly, and he shook Tashigi's hand away. What are you talking about? Pirates, Marines, people, evil, justice. It doesn't matter. I just want to sail freely and be One Piece King of Pirates. Like you're upholding your own justice. Vlad smiled. I'm just following my heart, that's all. Ahaha. Then, let's go, the little ones. Vlad smiled like this, smiling, huh. In the sky not far away, an electric light flashed across the sky and quickly rushed towards this side. Boom. The electric light hit the ground heavily, turning into a man, lying on the ground with a blushing face, and holding a wine bottle in his hand. Needless to say, this man will not be someone else. Naturally it can only be a fire dragon pirate. The regiment is ready for crew. Enel. Hiccup tilde. Have you boarded the boat yet? Enel stood up staggeringly, looked at Vlad who was standing in front of him and scratched his head, and said with some relief, I thought, hiccup, I ran to the wrong place. Hey, I said, God. Vlad looked very troubled. What are you running for? What do you mean by looking like this? Have you been drinking? Vlad is not blind. Enel is obviously drinking too much. Why do you drink so much? Vlad had no idea that Enel had never been drinking. Hiccup tilde. Enel shook the bottle in his hand. Well, wine, this thing is awesome. Who? Vlad dead fisheye. It's decided, let those mortals use wine as a sacrifice to the gods in the future. I am Enel, the god of wine. Enel said while burping. Hey, it's delicious. Enel raised the bottle, to Roger. To the One Piece King of Pirates forever. It's over, it's really too much to drink. Vlad slapped his forehead. Cook please. Yeah. The chef nodded reluctantly. To Roger. Enel shouted. Enel first. Guck. Before the chef's words were finished, Enel exploded like a landslide and tsunami, and the chef who was caught off guard had no time to escape. Quote. The chef's face was visibly gloomy. Oil giant, huge fortress. The man named Dino is a little bit clean. Chapter 166 Old Friends Meet. Blue. Quote. The voice of the phone bug rang, and the young Marine soldier picked up the phone casually and asked, This is the headquarters, what's the matter? This is the East Blue Logatown branch, I'm Smoker. There was a weak man's voice. Colonel Smoker. The young soldier's expression instantly turned stern. Smoker's reputation in the headquarters is not small, and the Logia's ability actually ran to East Blue, and the deeds of repeatedly contradicting the boss were also widely circulated. Listen, tell the guys above. Smoker said, the dragon pirates have entered East Blue, the one that defeated the former Admiral Zephyr. They have become even more incredible. When Smoker regained consciousness, laying on the hospital bed and reporting the Fire Dragon Pirates' movement to the headquarters, the Fire Dragon Pirates ship was flying quietly over East Blue, and no one could notice their existence. The chef holds a chart in his hand, which is different from the situation where a single pointer on the Great Route can lead to the whole world. In the Four Seas, charts are very important. They specially found a marine branch to grab this chart, which is guaranteed to be detailed. Captain, is this the place you most want to be? The chef pointed to a sea area on the chart and said. Yes. Vlad licked the lollipop and said excitedly, I wanted to go there and have a look a long time ago. If it's been a long time, it's probably a lifetime. Sea restaurant, Bharati. The chef pronounced the name a little discouraged. it really is your style, Captain. The Sea Restaurant Balati is the place that Vlad wanted to go to when he came to East Blue this time. There is no doubt that there are the most top chefs in the sea. Just thinking about the one that Sanji made later is just smell the cake that will make people happy to ascend to heaven. Vlad can't stop the saliva in his mouth. Don't get me wrong, it's just that he drank too much water recently. Now that East Blue has been here once, isn't it a pity not to stop by? Vlad has always been a do-it-yourselfer who never made himself feel sorry, so the ship is now on its way to this sea hotel. Hello, chef, do you have any more wine? Enel walked into the cabin with a blushing face, holding an empty wine bottle in his hand. This man has been out of control since he learned to drink in Logatown last time. In a few days, the amount of alcohol has grown, and it is indeed a very rapid transformation from a weak chicken that is poured out of a bottle to the one who is not drunk. Sorry, Mr. Enel. It's rare for the chef to be a little cold, and it's really uncomfortable even if he's being vomited when he has some cleanliness. There was no one on the ship who liked to drink, and now it's out of stock. Cut. Enel looked unhappy. Is there no more? And the cooking wine for cooking, do you mind? The chef's tone was slightly mocking. Huh. Electric lights started to flash from Enel's body. The man who was beaten by the chef because of drunkenness still remembered clearly. Are you looking for a fight? Try as much as you can. Chef is not at all cowardly, and he did nothing for half a year at Sky Island, and he was equally true in the face of Enel. All right. Vlad yawned. That's terrible on this ship. Too much trouble. Okay, Mr. Captain. The chef replied with a smile and walked out of the cabin on his own. Che, what an arrogant fellow. Enel sat opposite Vlad, raising his neck, trying to pour one last drop from the bottle. Is it you who is arrogant? God. Vlad knocked Erlang's leg very leisurely. Pride is God's instinct. Enel replied. As you like. Vlad smiled. Are we going to a restaurant next? Enel said this, looking very curious. That's right. Vlad answered excitedly, great restaurant. So, there's a lot of fruit and wine there too, right? Enel had a wicked smile on his face. Hey. Vlad smiled. Dash. Bharati on the Sea is definitely East Blue's most famous restaurant. There is no doubt that there is no other restaurant in East Blue that can match this restaurant, absolutely not. Every day, a large number of diners come to eat here, whether it is marine or pirate, noble or commoner. The unique concept and excellent delicacy make this restaurant's reputation drift farther and farther like the aroma of the food, until it spreads all over the place. The whole East Blue. However, even in a restaurant with a lot of traffic, such a battle has never been seen today, or no one has ever thought that such a thing would happen today. Hey, is that really a boat? On a boat parked outside Bharati, a rough big man muttered to himself. A ship in the air. Someone shouted. Flying pirate ship. Someone shouted suddenly, is this the pirate ship that attacked Logatown the other day? Few days, the news of the flying pirate ship attacking Logatown has spread throughout East Blue. Logatown is placed in East Blue, but it is a place like an iron wall, but it is so easy to break. I heard that the invincible smoker still lying in bed and unable to get off. Woo! Accompanied by the strong wind, the huge pirate ship slowly descended and gradually landed on the sea surface. Even though the descending speed was not fast, it still caused a big wave in an instant. On the second floor of Bharati, a man with a tall chef's hat and a beard with a strange braid looked at the pirate flag on the pirate ship with a heavy expression. Why did such a guy come back here? However, Sanji. Bang! Vlad gently jumped from the boat to the door of Bharati, but Vivi moved his nose to smell the fragrance from inside, and this alone gave him a very delicious feeling. Crack! Flash of lightning, Enel has appeared beside Vlad. There must be good wine here, right? Vlad smiled and pushed open the door of the restaurant first, and of course Serena, the chef Enel's maid behind him, followed. Although I don't know why the captain came so far to come to this restaurant for dinner, since he's already here, then let's go. Enjoy it. That flag, that flag. Someone finally recognized the pirate flag of the Fire Dragon Pirates, and fell to the ground in an instant, with a terrified expression on his face. It's a fire dragon. As soon as Vlad and the others sat down, all the people in the store ran away. Although not everyone knew about the Fire Dragon Pirates, everyone knew about the fact that the Flying Sky Pirates ravaged Logatown a few days ago. The pirates that the invincible Smoker can't handle, they should hurry up and run. Two ladies, this is really a fateful meeting. The man wearing a black suit and big toe shoes appeared in front of the maid and Serena like a whirlwind with a rose in his mouth. He was half kneeling, and his face was incomparably intoxicated, just like a lunatic. This eyebrow, you kid. Chef stood up abruptly with a surprised expression. Is that Sanji? Well. The man named Sanji slowly turned his head to look at the cook, and then gradually opened his eyes. Are you, Dino? Chapter 167 Three Cooks. You guy, is that Dino? The man named Sanji, who had been actively flattering both the maid and the musician Serena before, saw the chef's eyes gradually widen with unbelievable surprise in his eyes. It's been a long time. It was rare for Dino to look so excited. He could still see the crystal liquid in his eyes, and the corner of his mouth had the most brilliant and warm smile. It's really been a long time, Sanji. The man named Dino will never forget for a lifetime. In that dim dungeon, the timid blonde boy brought him the unpalatable but heart-warming food. Dino can guarantee that definitely the most delicious food he's ever eaten in his life, and that's why he made up his mind to become a chef. It's a very romantic thing to embark on the road of becoming a great chef because of the wonderful food. As a man, Dino feels very happy. The dream is not very far away, to put it bluntly, as long as you want to do what you want to do. This is a dream, right? Yeah, really long time no see, Dino. Equally excited was Chef Sanji, who would be sincerely happy to see his best friend again after many years. Sanji can't forget the fierce boy's ferocious expression, the eyes like a ghost, and the tears like a flood are really memories that will never be forgotten. Chef, anyone you know? Vlad was very surprised. Of course, he certainly knew this guy Sanji, the future chef of the Straw Hats, one of the three giants who was almost delisted, maybe the best chef in the sea, and this is also Vlad. The reason for coming here is to come to East Blue once. How can you miss the food in this restaurant? What is there to say? There is always a body and a stomach on the way. Vinsmoke Sanji, the name of this chef, the Prince of Germa Kingdom, is really a very prominent identity. Vlad is very clear about this, but he never thought why his own chef would know such a guy. So weird too. Yes, Captain, no. Chef replied with a smile, a childhood friend and a lifelong friend. Who? Vlad smiled, as the chef's friend also a chef. Ha, sure enough, people gather together. Well, yes, speaking of it, Sanji. The chef said to the coloring kappa excitedly, I am now a chef too. I know, evil Chef Dino, the dragon pirate chef. Sanji smiled and said, I recognized you as soon as your reward came out. Wow, that guy actually became a pirate, and he was a pirate with such a high bounty. When he saw it, he shocked me. Sanji blushed. Of course the most surprising thing to me is that you actually became a chef. Ha, that's because the food you made was so bad at that time. Chef said, so I decided to make truly the best food in the world. What? You said the food I made was unpalatable. Sanji looked as if he had been smashed with a hammer. His expression was extremely distorted. Who was that guy who was crying bitterly and said that it was delicious? Well, I'm just here to comfort you. The chef's expression was a strange one that Vlad had never seen before. It was a disdainful expression forcibly suppressing the efforts in his heart. It can be said that he was very happy. An indifferent person like a chef is not good at such an expression. Who is that guy who is full of anticipation and asks me if it's delicious, and if I deny it, I will cry? Huh. Sanji still wanted to say something. Okay, You too. Vlad said helplessly, I'm here to eat, not to listen to your reminiscences. If you have something to say, just say it slowly. Would you like to give us a little more? Sorry, guest. Sanji then reacted, I'll prepare meals for you right away. I want wine, lots of wine. Leaning on the chair leisurely, Enel spoke lazily, with eager desire in his eyes. This man is really finished. The god who used to be crazy and cool is gone forever. Vlad is very curious. This man, what the hell was going on in Logatown? Boom. With the sound of the low floor colliding with the wood, the old man with the tall chef's hat came to the hall. Bang. The old man lowered his head sharply, and the tall chef hat hit Sanji directly on top of his head. It was hard to imagine that when a chef hat made of fabric hit a person, it would actually make a sound like a symphony of golden iron. Hey, stinky old man, what do you want to do? Sanji turned his head with a displeased expression and glared at the man who he really regarded as a father. The way the two communicated was always so strange. Boy, since it's a friend here, then get out of the way and have a good chat. The old man said so. Huh. How can a chef give up halfway on the battlefield of cooking? Sanji was excited. Ha, idiot, who do you think is the head chef of this restaurant? Red-footed Zeph was very disdainful. If you want to entertain such guests, you are still far from it. Huh. Sanji wanted to say something else. Okay, Sanji, let this gentleman be the chef, we just have a good chat. The chef grabbed Sanji's arm. Is that okay? Captain. Go, go, go. Vlad digs his ears boredly. Whatever, I only need to eat delicious desserts. Don't get me wrong, I just want to see how East Blue's desserts are different from Paradise and New World. That would be great. The chef took Sanji's arm and walked to the deck outside. Let's have a good chat about the story of so many years. Humph. Sanji snorted at Zeph, turned his head and followed the chef out of the hall. Stinky boy. Although Zeph's tone was very unpleasant, there was no doubt that there was a slow relief in his eyes. It was also a joy for his father to have his son meet his lifelong best friend again. Hey, boss, hurry up. Vlad said lazily, if you have something delicious, come up quickly. We are already very hungry and impatient. Then look forward to it. Guests. Zeph smiled and looked very confident. He didn't seem to be intimidated by the terrifying reputation of the dragon pirates. As a chef, he only needed to cook well for the guests who wanted to eat. Chef, that's all. Chapter 168 Reminiscence and Competition. The warm sea breeze is blowing slowly, and the blue sea is rippling with waves, which is really a beautiful scene. www. But even in the beautiful scenery it is not as beautiful as the mood of the two men. Meeting one's old home in a foreign country is a very moving thing, not to mention that the person you meet is still your childhood friend, a friend who will never be forgotten in your life. This kind of moving is enough to magnify tenfold. Hey, how's it going? Dino. Sanji sat on the railing with his legs crossed. You said at the time that you were going to the Great Route to become stronger. How has it been all these years? How's it going? The chef leaned against the wall with a wry smile that couldn't be concealed at the corner of his mouth. Well, it's hard to say anything. How have you been? Of course, it's not very good. I entered the Great Route and sailed smoothly at the beginning. As a wandering chef, although he is young, the cook who does not cause trouble is still very nourishing. Wandering around the paradise in the first half of the Great Route knows life is good. The man who was determined to be a good chef was extremely attentive, and his cooking skills improved rapidly. From a little boy who knew nothing about cooking, he gradually became a reliable chef. He even learned hockey by chance. This is the first half. A rare thing, the chef is very satisfied. Just when he thought that he would slowly improve his cooking skills and become stronger until revenge in the future, a hardship he never thought of appeared on him. I just took a look at those guys in fancy clothes that I only heard from my father when I was a child, and just like that, Mariajoy was caught by the accompanying Marine Vice Admiral, from a free cook to a slave with nothing. Needless to say, this is a very frustrating thing. The time as a slave lasted for nearly 2 years. Fortunately, I met Vlad who came to Mariajoy to do things. Otherwise, I don't know how long this life will continue. But if you really want to talk about it. A smile appeared on the chef's face. Is it still a good life? I have actually become a fairly good chef, and my cooking skills are not so shameful. I have learned a lot at sea and met a lot of people. Of course, I also suffered a lot, and I encountered some things that can be said to be painful, but, fortunately, I got out of the predicament not long after, and I also met friends who are worth relying on. Quote. Chef smiled, I'm really satisfied. After so many years of sailing, it's really great. That's it. I met a great partner. Sanji lit a cigarette, held it in his mouth, and was sincerely happy for the experience of his best friend. It is already a very difficult thing to meet a partner he can rely on the sea. That's awesome, Dino. The smile on Sanji's face was extremely bright. Just hearing that his best friend had met a good partner already made this man feel extremely happy. Of course it is. Dino also smiled and looked very happy. My captain will definitely become One Piece King of Pirates. One Piece King of Pirates. Sanji looked surprised. Are you sailing to conquer great routes? That's right. Dino smiled, his eyes full of trust in Vlad. That man is the man who will become One Piece King of Pirates. There is no doubt, no one can steal from him. Take this position. Ha 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 ha, you are really confident. Sanji laughed. He doesn't have a boat with a straw hat yet. Of course, he won't have a dispute with the chef because of this issue. It's so good to be able to sail freely on the sea. There was hope in the man's eyes. Sanji, go to the sea. Dino said, a man like you was born to be at sea. Let's go to the vast sea. Miss Raikou also said that in this vast sea, you will always meet your own friends. Yes. Go to sea. Sanji was a little stunned. His face was very strange, with yearning but also obvious resistance. Ha ha ha, forget it. Of course, as a chef, you have to stay in the restaurant. Is that so? Of course Dino noticed Sanji's entanglement, but he didn't talk too much. The decision of a man doesn't need others to talk. Sanji has his own adventures. Even the closest friend, Dino understands this deeply. He would never interfere with Sanji's own story, it was his own business. Now, Dino. Sanji snapped out the cigarette, looking at Dino's eyes as if they were glowing. You remember All Blue, right? You must remember. Dino, as a chef, there is no reason to forget, right? You must be yearning for it, right? Sanji's expression was as frantic as an MLM, with 120,000 excitement. Where do all chefs yearn? There's no reason not to yearn. Right, Dino. All Blue, the legendary Sea of Mystery. Dino's face filled with a smile. Of course, the place you told me at that time, the place that all chefs on the sea dream of, gathers ingredients from all the seas in the world, a dream-like place without chefs, a temptation that can be resisted. Right. Sanji was very happy. You want to go too, don't you? Yeah, no chef wouldn't want to go to a place like that. Dino couldn't deny that although he didn't take finding All Blue as his sailing goal, as he said, as long as a chef can't resist such a temptation, this is no joke. Sanji, you really want to go to All Blue, don't you? Dino asked. Well, of course. Sanji didn't have the slightest intention to hide it, and said, even if I really want to go there and see that dreamy ocean. Ha 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 ha. Dino burst out laughing. What's the matter? Dino, is there anything funny? Sanji was a little surprised and didn't understand what was funny about his dream. No, Sanji, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at myself. Dino replied. Well. Sanji is a little confused. The chef is really laughing at himself. What he said before is all nonsense. This man does not need to persuade him to go to sea. Although he is not willing now, there is no doubt that a man with a dream will not stay in this place. Yes, the blue sea calls to them. This guy Sanji, although he doesn't want it now, but he doesn't want much. It won't be long before this guy can't wait to go to sea, and his dream is urging him to embark on the journey. Hello, Sanji. Chef said with a smile, remember the agreement at that time. Do you want to come and have a try? We are all chefs now. Who, then? Chapter 169 Sanji and Dino Childhood Story. The kitchen of the sea restaurant Bharati is naturally far cleaner and tidy than the kitchen of the general restaurant. The chefs here are quite picky about the cooking environment. X23 US. Com updates fastest. At this moment, there are 2 more men in the kitchen, 2 men standing opposite each other. Interesting. Sanji smiled, want a showdown with me? Dino. Hey, I've been sick of your nasty and mortal dishes a long time ago. Dino looked terrified, since we are both full-fledged chefs now, let's have a good fight. Where's the referee? Sanji said so. You don't need a referee, you and I are the referees. Dino smiled. No problem. Sanji rolled up his sleeves and smiled, I'll win you cry. It's not certain who's crying. Dino smiled. Dash 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 dash. Croft, Dino first met that guy named Vinsmoke Sanji. He wasn't a free-spirited pirate who wanted to be the world's #1 chef. That's really a long time ago. It's been a long time since chefs at that time have not learned how to laugh and how to cry. Croft family is the royal family of North Blue. Dino, who inherited this surname, is naturally a prince. It can be said that he has a very prominent status. Dino, who has an excellent eldest brother, has no idea of inheriting the throne at all. Dreaming of being a good musician, playing music in a resplendent hall, and then having everyone cheering and applauding for you is really a beautiful thing. But the story is often not so easy. The evil army named Germa shattered Dino's beautiful childhood, and the kingdom of Germa, who accepted the entrustment of the neighboring country, easily destroyed the kingdom ruled by the Croft family with their terrifying forces. Everything that was once cherished has become ashes in the smoke of gunpowder. The cold-hearted father, the kind mother, the kind brother, and the lovely siblings all disappeared from this world overnight. The boy named Dino understood for the first time what is loss and what is war. Dino, who happened to go out to listen to the concert, escaped this disaster, but the boy who survived by chance did not want to live. Everything he held dear was gone, and there was no point in living. So the boy with nothing attacked the princess of the Germa family, the girl who came to this battlefield with her father, the girl named Vinsmoke Reiju. He was knocked down. Although it was a sneak attack, he had no resistance at all, and was easily knocked down by the opponent. How could His Royal Highness, who was obsessed with music and delicate body, be the opponent of Germa's highest technological achievements? Hey, isn't it bad to live? The pink-haired girl had a nasty smile and a nasty tone. You're trying to attack me. I know you, you're Croft, Dino, right? Well, maybe you still have some use. Germa. With such a roar, the little chef was dragged away by the little girl carrying her legs. For some reason, Germa didn't deal with Dino directly. Maybe the last prince of this kingdom still has a use, such as a puppet regime. So, naturally, Dino, who delivered it to his door, was naturally imprisoned by Germa, locked in the family's dungeon, a dark and empty dungeon. At the beginning, the only people I could meet were the princes of Germa. They looked a few years younger than him, but they were no different from monsters. These guys seemed to be born with malice towards the world. Dino, who was always giggling and beating while laughing, also, Dino was powerless to fight back. Dino is getting weaker and weaker. This boy is not going to live. Naturally, he will not accept the food of Germa, the enemy of life and death. Germa does not pay much attention to him. After all, when he is really hungry, he will find his behavior. How stupid. So Dino met the boy named Vinsmoke Sanji for the first time, who was obviously quadruplets with those 3 guys, but they were completely different guys. When we first met, Dino thought he would be beaten again today, but he didn't care anymore. His body gradually lost strength, and even his perception was gradually blurred. He was too weak. But no, this kid is completely different from his brothers, a cowardly look. Hello. Sanji spoke timidly. Quote. Dino, who was leaning against the wall, did not speak, but turned his head and gave Sanji a fierce look. Whoa. The blonde kid fled with a roaring voice, seemingly frightened by Dino's hideous expression. Quote. Dino never thought that there is this kid in the monster-like Vinsmoke family, who is very similar to his brothers in terms of eyebrows and appearance, but it seems that the personalities are very different. The second meeting came very quickly, not long after the kid ran away, dawdling every step of the way. The blonde kid with two hands behind his back walked to the door of the cell where Dino was imprisoned, a little scared. Dino didn't speak, just looked at him quietly. He was already very weak, and it was not easy to move. Hey, you. The childhood Sanji said with a frightened laugh, you want to eat, right? Quote. Dino didn't speak. Damn, is Raiji lying to me? Thinking of his older sister who always ridiculed him, Sanji felt a little unconfident in his heart. Does this guy really want to eat, as she said? Hey, do you want to try it? Sanji carefully took out a lunchbox and held it in his hands. Although this is my first time cooking, I'm still quite confident. Go away, Germa. Dino sneered, I won't accept any alms from you. Try it. Sanji handed out the lunchbox. I said get out, Germa. Dino's reaction was particularly fierce. He grabbed the lunchbox that Sanji handed over, and smashed Sanji's body with his backhand. The clothes that were not very clean instantly turned his face away. You, damn it. The young Yamaji was in a hurry, and his tears were almost unbearable, so he picked up the lunchbox, turned his head and ran away. Germa. Dino, who was leaning against the wall, muttered to himself, only you can never forgive. Damn it. The young Sanji ran with his head buried in his head, scolding bitterly, I deserve nothing to eat. Bang. Oops. Sanji fell to the ground and looked up. Oh, Sanji. In front of him is his lovely sister, purely referring to the cuteness in appearance. Have you been to the dungeon? Chapter 170 Open Heart. You lied to me. Sanji held the lunchbox timidly, and questioned with some guilty conscience, that guy doesn't want to eat at all. He doesn't want to eat at all when I give him something to eat, and he wants to hit me. What an idiot, Sanji. Reiju smiled, snickering with her hands over her mouth, a cute but sarcastic smile. He's a prisoner of our Germa. As a prince, are you still afraid of a prisoner? Sanji instinctively wanted to refute, but suddenly the guy's hideous eyes flashed in front of his eyes, and fear seized his heart all of a sudden, those eyes that really wanted to kill him. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Oh, what are you afraid of? Sanji. Reiju smiled. You, such a coward. Sanji, didn't you say you want to cook something that would make your mother happy? Don't you dare to ask someone to try it. Sanji was shaken for a while. His mother's health was not good. He wanted to make delicious food to make her happy. This was the only thing he could do. Oh, what a pity, Sanji. Reiju smiled and turned to leave. That guy must have died if he didn't eat for so long. He starved to death. It's so pathetic. Starved to death. This is a method of death that Sanji has never thought of. Starving to death is an unimaginable thing for this prince who is often bullied by his brothers, but actually has good material conditions. Damn. Sanji gritted his teeth and ran away. Sanji, who ran away, didn't notice that his sister had turned back to look at his back. So, you're the child who looks the most like a mother. Looks like you're really useful, Mr. Croft, Dino. Neat. Dino was drowsy, his brain was chaotic, and his whole person had almost lost consciousness. Even if he had a strong will, no matter how tenacious, this person was only a child less than 10 years old after all, and his physical condition was placed on the spot. Even if there is a will like steel here, those who should be stunned will still be stunned by hunger. Dino felt that something was wrong. Something was entering his mouth. It tasted strange and instinctive. He didn't need to think much. He just followed his instinct and started to swallow. But still instinctively self-help. Well, didn't you say you don't eat it? Hearing such a voice vaguely, Dino gradually regained consciousness, and then opened his eyes to see the blonde kid riding on him and feeding the sticky-looking unknown substance into his mouth spoon by spoon. Bang! Although he hadn't eaten for a long time, Dino, who had recovered somewhat from the energy replenishment just now, smashed Sanji away with a punch, with an extremely ferocious expression. Germa. Dino really didn't expect that this kid would dare to run into his cell. Isn't this courting death? Ah! Sanji was so frightened that he shrank back again and again, directly into the corner of the wall. Don't come here. I just want to get you something to eat. Ha ha ha, stop joking, Germa. Dino smiled wickedly. Do you demons also have good intentions? Do you want to poison me directly? No, I was going to starve to death, so I wanted to continue to live, right? The prince of the kingdom may always be better than it's useful to die. Right. No, no. Sanji flinched. Look at your eyebrows, you're Germa's prince, aren't you? Dino approached step by step. Although Sanji is also a transforming person, the constitution is completely inferior to his brother. In the face of Dino, who is a few years older than him, he has no strength to resist. Germa destroyed my country, killed my family, father, mother, older brother, younger sister, all destroyed by you. Dino's tone was fierce, but there were tears in the corners of his eyes. After all, this little devil couldn't easily forget his grief, so, Germa. Go to hell to atone for my family. Dino's tone was as cold as iron. You want to kill me? Sanji seemed to be frightened. This guy has never encountered such a thing before. No, I can't die. My mother will be sad if I die. Who cares about you? Dino suddenly threw Sanji to the ground. Your family will be sad when you die, but won't I be sad when my family is dead? Stop kidding me, Germa. Dino raised his fists high. You guys, do you really know what emotion is? Wow. Sanji burst into tears. No, mother's health is not good. If I die, mother, she will definitely. I don't know you at all, and I don't know what kind of hatred you have with us. I just want you to help me try cooking for my mother. Why hurt me? Little boy burst into tears. Don't kill me, at least. The boy named Sanji cried, at least let me cook a good meal for my mother. Let her be happy, I think. I want to see how she smiles. Quote. The fist seemed to be frozen. Obviously, this kid has no idea of counterattack at all, and obviously the fist is not weak, but as if there is a wall in front of him, the fist can't swing at all. Bang! With a dull sound, Dino slammed his fist on the floor, and blood flowed from his tender right hand. Ha! Dino sat on the floor, gasping for breath. His face was full of tears of guilt, tears of shame that he couldn't avenge his family because of his tenderness and mercy. This little devil, even if his heart is full of hatred, he is still. Don't be cruel because of this. Go away. Germa, don't show up in front of me again. Sanji sat up with lingering fears, his expression still blank, as if he hadn't recovered from the situation just now. Go away, stupid! Dino yelled. Oh! Sanji walked to Dino's side a little scared, trying to avoid Dino as he picked up the lunchbox on the ground, and turned his head to leave. That! Sanji seemed to have remembered something, and raised the lunchbox with some fear. There was still some sticky strange substance left in it. Do you still want to eat? Are you an idiot? Dino is going crazy. Is this kid really an idiot? I wanted to kill him just now, but now I came to ask him if he wanted to eat something like nothing happened. Sure enough, there was something wrong with his head, otherwise he wouldn't have asked him such a question. I just think you're going to die if you don't eat anymore. Sanji shrank back and opened his mouth cautiously, fearing to anger Dino. Quote. Dino was speechless. He almost killed his enemy, but how did this kid say such a thing? You said your family died. I think that must be a very sad thing. Moved slowly like a cell door. Dad did it. That's why you hate Germa so much, right? Do you really want to die? Dino's expression changed, and the anger that had just been suppressed began to come out again. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The kid named Sanji knelt directly in front of Dino, his little head slammed firmly on the ground. I'm really sorry for what Dad did. I'm really sorry. My family made such a thing. You guy. Dino made a sound unconsciously. What are you thinking about? I didn't know it before, but now I know it. Sanji didn't look up and said, I don't know why Dad likes to destroy so much, but if my apology can make you feel some relief, then I have nothing to hesitate. What are you talking about? Boy. Dino seemed to have received the most serious insult in the world, and jumped over to lift Sanji's collar. What do you know? What do you think you are doing? Who do you think I am? Croft Dino. Dino roared, don't you think your apologetic apologies can be of any use? My relatives and friends, all my treasures are gone. Do you want to rely on your apologies to will it quell my hatred for Germa? Stop joking, kid. No. Sanji cried. Dino really scared him. I never asked you to forgive us, let alone with my apology. I just want you to forgive yourself. Sanji shouted. Quote. Dino was startled and speechless. Even if you lost all your loved ones, all your friends, all your treasures, but Dino. Croft, Dino. Sanji shouted, but for those who are no longer, their relatives, their friends, his most precious treasure, isn't there still one? Do you want their last treasure to die like this? Wouldn't that be too selfish? Sanji almost roared. Anyway, let their expectations not fail like this. At least, they have to live well. You bastard. Don't trample on other people's hearts. Don't they want you to live well? Unable to speak, Dino was completely speechless, stepped back a few steps in a daze, and sat on the ground with a blank look in his eyes. These words are quite good. Sanji. A sweet female voice came from one side. The girl named Reiku leaned her back against the railing of the cell and smiled. Are you very capable? Sanji, sister, I am impressed by you. Reiju. Sanji is scared when he sees this girl. Although this girl won't bully him like the other brothers, she won't help herself. Instead, she will stand by and watch the play and add fuel to the flames. It can be said to be quite scary. You bastard. Of course Dino recognized the Germa girl who had caught him, and her inhuman strength was something he couldn't forget. Sanji said it well. Croft, Dino. Reiju didn't look back, smiled. Those guys really expect you to live well. Ah, that's Croft, Dick. That's your big brother. Reiju seemed to be recalling, even if he was about to die, he was smiling. He smiled and said, that's great, so Dino didn't get caught. It's great. Are you happy? I'm very happy that my younger brother survived and was able to get out of this disaster. Reiju said, I think that's what the man thought at that time. Although he died, he still has a younger brother alive. This is already a very happy thing, right? After all, this is the only child in the entire family who survived. They also hope that this child can live well, right? Speaking of this, Reiju's voice suddenly began to sneer. So, that's why I was so surprised when I met the only survivor of the Croft family. Isn't it good to live? It's really interesting that a guy who is a man of hope is so eager to court death. Dino was stunned. The eldest brother who was laughing and joking all day, often running out of the palace with himself and his younger siblings to play, and then being cleaned up by his father and mother once again appeared in front of him. Of course he knows that his relatives, his friends, and his treasures all want him to live well. Of course he knows this, but he can't do nothing, right? Gotta do something, right? Dino thought so. You must be trying to do something, right? Reiju smiled with a tone that could be said to be extremely sarcastic, but Mr. Dino, you can't do anything. Ha 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 ha, it's so ridiculous. What can you do? Reiju smiled and left slowly. You can't do anything right now. It's pathetic, Mr. Dino, you can't do anything right now. And Sanji, remember the key to the cell later. Give it back to me. Dino didn't speak, he didn't know what to think. Dino, right. Sanji came over a little scared. Do you want to eat? Dino stared blankly at Sanji, just kept watching without saying a word. Just when Sanji thought the boy was going to beat him again, the boy named Dino snatched the lunchbox in his hand, picked up the spoon and filled his mouth with a big mouth. Even thinking that the spoon was not easy to use, directly it can be said to be extremely embarrassing to start grabbing into his own mouth with his hands. But Sanji feels very happy. The most satisfying thing is that the food he made can make people feel like it. Crack. 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 Big tears fell in the lunchbox, and the little devil named Dino burst into tears, but his mouth did not stop. The heart of this boy who had already decided to die like this ignited again. The fire of survival that will go out again. It was so delicious. Quote. Dino cried, it's delicious. Really? Sanji smiled, his eyes curved into crescents under his curly eyebrows. It would be great if you like it. It's really delicious. This is the taste of life. Chapter 171 The Door to Freedom. PFF. It's unpalatable. It's really unpalatable. The red-haired little devil threw the lunchbox in his hand heavily on the ground with a look of disgust, looked at the two little boys curled up on the ground, and said very unhappily, I thought you were trying to protect you. How delicious is the food. Is this what it turned out to be? Hey, Sanji, it doesn't matter if this guy is an idiot, are you actually acting stupid with him? The red-haired kid named IG is the eldest of the four Vinsmoke brothers and the vanguard who bullied Sanji and beat Dino. Ha ha ha, that's what Sanji is like, a rubbish guy, obviously with the same bloodline as us, but he's just a rubbish who likes to cook, and now he's cooking for this prisoner. The blue-haired Niji who spoke was also very annoying. Really, he's obviously our brother but he's really a waste, what's the use of you alive? That's it. Yuji, who forgave Mao, was equally unkind. Sanji, you are a disgrace to the Vinsmoke family. Forget it. IG punched Sanji hard in the stomach, turned his head and smiled. Let's go, there's nothing to talk about with these two guys. Let's stay with this trash Sanji. The three brothers walked away, leaving only the food spilled on the ground and the two little devil heads curled up together. Poof. Sanji burst out laughing, so embarrassed. Dino. HMPH. Dino sat up slowly, you're the one who's embarrassed. Time has moved forward quietly for a while, and the two little ghosts have initially established a friendship. Even Dino is the same. After all, he is just a little ghost under 10 years old. You can't refuse a sincere friend. People will never be alone in this world. It hurts. Sanji grinned, and being beaten by monster-like brothers would never be nothing. Hey, what are you doing? Seeing Dino sitting on the ground, Sanji stretched out his hand to the food scattered on the ground. Why? Is it bad to waste food? Dino naturally picked up the dirty food on the ground and put it into his mouth. But, Sanji said in confusion, it's already dirty. Stupid you, Sanji. Dino didn't lift his head. Isn't it only the surface layer that gets dirty? The stuff inside, such as mind, won't get dirty so easily. You bastard. Sanji smiled, squatted on the ground decisively, and also stretched out his hand to pick up the food on the ground. Hey, what are you doing? Are you trying to grab my lunch? Dino said so. Wow it's so unpalatable. Sanji said so. Ha 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 ha. Dino laughed, even the most unsatisfactory life, as long as it is accompanied by a close friend, there is always some fun. Hey, what's wrong? Dino opened his mouth curiously. He suddenly came here at night and shrank to the corner without speaking. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that it was abnormal. Quote. Sanji was silent, silently hugging his legs and huddled in the corner without speaking. Dino sat down next to Sanji, silently doing nothing. Mother her. Sanji's voice was low and scary, as if 50 people were smoking in his throat. Mom, she's gone. Quote. Dino did it for a long time, and replied, that's it. Sanji raised his head, tears and snot on his face blurred. Mom, she will never come back. I know. Dino's tone was light. Dino, my mother, the woman who loves me the most, the woman who always affectionately calls me Sanji, she is dead. Sanji is hysterical. Of course I know, Sanji. Dino said, of course I know your mother is dead, the woman who loved you most is dead, I know you are in pain, but Sanji, what's the matter? What did you say? What do you know? Sanji was stunned. Of course this guy knew it, and he understood it well. The boy probably knew this feeling far better than himself. I know, Sanji, I know you're in pain right now, it doesn't matter, it's not a shame to cry for the one you love. Dino looked straight at the opposite cell wall and said, it doesn't matter how sad you are, Sanji is a matter of course, but Sanji, please don't forget. One more person has been looking forward to your cooking. Dino said, it's enough to cry in front of me, Sanji, remember what you said to me at the beginning, the person you treasure will also be the person who treasures you, your mother I'm sure you're still looking forward to your delicious dishes. Quote. Sanji stared blankly at Dino, speechless. Hey, Sanji, I'm so hungry. Dino said, can I have dinner tonight? Isn't that of course? Sanji stood up. Ha. Dino laughed. Humph. Sanji's mouth curled up. Bang. In the middle of the night, Dino was woken up by a noise. He sat up, and then saw the guy with the helmet on the head in the opposite cell. PFF'd. Ha. Dino laughed. Hey, Sanji, what do you look like? How funny. I want you to take care of it. Sanji sat in front of the cell door and answered casually. Have you been completely abandoned by the family? Dino asked. It's been a long time. He already knew exactly what the status of this guy Sanji is in the Vinsmoke family, and he was really not curious when he saw Sanji's current appearance. Yeah. Sanji responded indifferently. He was no longer the lonely Sanji he used to be. He also had his own friends, and he also had a partner he could rely on, so he was no longer afraid. Well, just right, we can chat all night. Dino was a little excited. It's a pity there is no way to make something for you to eat anymore. Sanji is sorry. Come on, that's how you cook. It's not as good as the food Germa gave me. Dino clearly distinguishes Sanji from Germa. Who was crying and saying it was delicious? Sanji retorted. Kara. I don't know if it was an illusion. Dino was always woken up from his dreams. He opened his eyes in annoyance, and then he saw a scene that could be called horror. The little girl named Reiku directly pulled the railing of the opposite cell with her hands, which was completely beyond imagination. You're awake too. Reiju noticed Dino and walked over to open Dino's cells as well. What do you mean? Dino was wary. Is Germa finally going to attack me? But Sanji is your younger brother, right? Dino panicked. Reiju. Sanji, who was sleeping so hard, finally realized something was wrong. Get out of here, Sanji said. Leave Germa. There's no place for you here. Go, Sanji, go to the sea. Sanji and Dino were stunned. Chapter 172 Date of Promise. Reiju. Sanji stared blankly at his sister, speechless. His mind went blank, and he had no thoughts. He never thought that he would hear such words from his sister. The girl named Vinsmoke Reiju he has always only ridiculed and ridiculed himself, although he occasionally helped him bandage, he never thought of such a situation. What are you still doing? Sanji. Reiju pulled Sanji out of the cell. Come out. Now is the best chance. Reiju. Sanji was stunned. Sanji, you want to be a chef, right? Reiku took Sanji's hand and ran out. Your dream is to become a chef, right? Sanji nodded slightly, not understanding what Reiku meant. It's easy, Sanji. Dino wouldn't stay in the prison honestly, keeping up with Reiku and Sanji's footsteps. Of course it's time to leave this place. That's right, Sanji. Were tears in Reiku's eyes. Now Germa is at war with the kingdom of Corgia in East Blue, and the kingdom is in chaos, so run. Sanji, go to the sea to pursue your dreams. The sea. With the iron mask on his head, Sanji can't tell what it looks like, but just by listening to the sound, you can tell that this kid is very yearning. Then let's go, Sanji. Dino grabbed Sanji's other hand and smiled. There's no reason to stay here. Come on, Sanji. Reiju stopped, let go of her hand, and said, I'll help you this time, don't screw it up. If you go to East Blue. Sanji muttered to himself, if you go to East Blue, you won't have to see your father, right? You can become a chef freely. Isn't that nonsense, Sanji? Dino dragged Sanji and ran forward. The sea is the most free place. Dino. Sanji looked at his friend, are you going to come with me too? Isn't this nonsense? Dino smiled, do you want me to die here? Of course I want to be with you. Yeah. And started running toward freedom with his short legs. Who's where? Named Judge turned his head sharply, and then saw two small figures of himself. Yes, Sanji. There was an impatient look in Judge's tone, why are you here? As that, Vinsmoke Judge. Dino clenched his fist tightly, this man was the guy who destroyed his own country with his own hands. Oh, is this kid from the Crofts that Riho brought back? Of course Judge has no reason not to notice Dino, it's not dead yet. Oh yes, I remembered. King of Germa, the man said, Sanji has been cooking for you, right? Ha 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 ha, it's enough that there is a chef in the Vinsmoke family. Get out of the way. I'm leaving this country. Sanji picked up a knife from the ground, don't stop me. Leaving the country. Judge Vivi was startled, then laughed, really? Do you want to leave this country? That. Sanji's knife-wielding hand, Vivi, trembled a little. That's really good. Judge laughed loudly, I'm just worried about what to do with you. After all, as my own son, I can't kill you with my own hands. It's better that you want to leave. I really want to thank you very well. Sanji, help me with a big trouble. Body Vivi trembled. But Sanji, I need to trouble you with something. Judge said, you must say your father's name when you get to the sea. It's a humiliation that I can't bear. Take the key to the mask. Judge smiled and threw a key on the ground, then just roll away and never see me again. Sanji picked up the key in silence, opened his mask gently, and his face was calm. Dino smiled, and Sanji had grown a bit. Oh, I thought you were going to cry like a mess. Judge spoke in surprise. I already have a partner I can rely on. Sanji said, so I'm definitely not crying anymore. Partner. Judge looked at Dino, oh. Did you change Sanji, Croft kid? I won't let you hurt him. Sanji stood in front of Dino. Sanji. Dino wasn't surprised at all, some were just moved. The so-called friend refers to such a guy. Ha 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 ha. Judge laughed loudly, really? Are you willing to risk your life for your partner? Sanji, you're going to surprise me a little bit before you leave. Judge laughed and walked away. It doesn't matter, Sanji, it's the same whether it's you or that kid, I don't care if I live or die. If you want to trouble me in the future, feel free to give it a try. Judge walked away without any hesitation, and didn't care about the movements of these two little devils. For this man, whether it was his own child or the descendant of the royal family who had been destroyed by him, there was no difference. Just a useless guy, a man named Vinsmoke Judge has always been mercenary. Whether it is his incompetent son or the former prince of the kingdom that has been completely ruled by a neighboring country, he can no longer bring him any benefits now, so this man can let these two men without hesitation. Go kid. What are you still doing? Dino grabbed Sanji's hand and ran outside, do you still want to die right here? Sanji. This is not a safe place. This is the battlefield of the Vinsmoke family and the East Blue Corgia Kingdom. Are the two children in a safe place here? On the dark sea, a small boat floated on the sea, and two little ghosts sat on the boat and looked at each other. PFF ha 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 ha. Dino couldn't hold back at first, and laughed. What are you laughing at, Tilda? Ha 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 ha. Soon, Sanji couldn't be serious anymore. He laughed along with his partner. Is there any reason to laugh at this moment? The two boys who finally got the most precious freedom in the world, no matter how much laughter, they can't be overstated. Sanji, we have finally reached the sea. Dino looked around. The sea breeze was a little fresh. Is this the smell of freedom? Well, this is the sea. Smiled. It's totally different from being at home. No, Vinsmoke's house. Ha ha ha, of course, Sanji. Dino leaned against the side of the boat. They can't bind you anymore. By the way, Sanji, you said. Dino licked his lips and said, how about I become a chef too? Sanji said excitedly, of course it's great. But didn't you say you want to be a musician? Well, time has changed. Dino smiled, for me now, filling my stomach is more important than any music. Quote. Sanji smiled and leaned against the side of the boat. Sanji, let's make an appointment. Dino said so. Agreement. Quote. It's time to fulfill the promises made as a child. Dino smiled, and in front of him stood a plate with a lid on it, not knowing what was inside. Well, when we all become chefs who can be our own chefs, let's have a showdown between chefs. Sanji stood across from him with a smile on his face. In front of him was also a covered plate and lit a cigarette. The man said, now is the time to decide the outcome. Chapter 173 respectively with the target. Ooh, chef, don't you want to catch up with your best friend? Gradually flying away from Barati's platinum, Drager, Vlad said to the chef, isn't it a few years since I haven't seen you? Don't we need to reminisce? We have no problem, anyway, time is still very short. Enough. It doesn't matter, just a few more days will be fine. Of course you're fine. The maid leaned on the side of the boat and smiled. Vlad still had obvious traces of cream on the corners of his mouth. Of course you don't mind, Captain. You must be satisfied with the craftsmanship of the two chefs, right? Well, those two chefs are really good at cooking. Whether it's Mr. Chef or Mr. Sanji. The musician lady sitting on the deck, covering her round belly, was very unimpressive, with a bright smile on her face, looking very happy. It's really delicious, it's nothing better than what the chef cooks. Bad. Of course it is. Chef smiled, that father and son are both cooks that cannot be underestimated. Hey, is Mr. Chef the father of that Mr. Sanji? He doesn't look alike at all. Serena exclaimed, although she didn't have any dealings, she had some opinions on that nympho chef. At least in appearance, she was very different from the old man with the braided beard. It was so big that a discerning person could tell at a glance that the two were not related by blood. Well, it does look quite similar. The maid agreed that the two were indeed very similar, not in appearance, but in spirit. The two men had the same spirit, and there was no doubt that they were like father and son. But is it really okay to say goodbye in such a hurry? Vlad said, is it a true lifelong friend whom I haven't seen for many years? Don't I need to say goodbye? No need, Captain. Chef smiled, it's totally unnecessary. A man's parting doesn't need too many words. It's just a brief farewell, we'll meet again sooner or later. On this blue sea, we will meet you one day sooner or later. At that time, let's have a good reminiscence with him. I have my own adventures, he has his dreams. Chef smiled, even if we are best friends, but this is not the reason to bind each other. Mr. Captain, I think you understand it best. Because I am his best friend, so I will never interfere with him. Story. All I can do is, when we meet again on the sea someday in the future, we can have a good time and tell stories from the past. Chef said, that's what I think. Okay, romantic. Serena exclaimed. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad laughed loudly. That's it, man's parting should be like this. Tears, sadness, sadness, where do you need these things? Smile and part, looking forward to the next meeting with a smile. That's how the boys in the sea are. On the vast sea, all encounters are destined, and there is no absolutely isolated person. Sooner or later, one day, we will meet. There is no doubt about that. Isn't that right? The chef smiled. Speaking of which, isn't that Enel guy awake yet? Vlad realized that there was one missing person on the deck and asked aloud. How can it be so fast, Captain? Baby 5 smiled. That guy drank desperately when he was eating just now. Just the wine bottles he drank could fill a table, how could he wake up so easily? Vlad couldn't help but have a headache. This guy has really changed a lot. Vlad really could not have imagined that the noble and glamorous god of Sky Island could become such an alcoholic. So what happened that day in Logatown? Completely do not understand already. Well, since the 2 places I want to go have already been visited. Vlad looked at the distant sky and smiled. Then it's time to get down to business. Shake the world, and that's how it begins. Dash 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 dash. Have they left? In the somewhat empty hall, Boss Zeph looked at Sanji leaning on the back of his chair smoking a cigarette and looking at the ceiling, and said lightly. Well, their voyage has begun again. Sanji slowly exhaled a puff of smoke and replied. Is that all right? Zeph said, just parting like this. Don't want to catch up. I really want to. Smelly old man, but that guy Dino doesn't seem to want to stay any longer. Sanji replied with a bit of depression. I don't know why his best friend doesn't want to stay here for a while. Sanji doesn't doubt that his friend and his friendship are not as firm as they used to be. It can be seen from the obvious friendship. Dino still sees himself as his best friend, as does himself. I don't want to stay longer. Zeph laughed. Of course, brat, that guy is expecting. Well. Looked back at Zeph suddenly, a little surprised. He's expecting you, Sanji. Zeph laughed. There is no doubt that he doesn't care about the current encounter. He is looking forward to the future reunion on the sea. Quote. Sanji didn't speak. We'll see you soon. Zeph turned his head and walked upstairs, the voice filling the hall. As long as you are still chasing all blue, then one day you will meet again on the sea. Sanji, he's looking forward to the day you go to sea. All blue. Sanji quietly lit a cigarette and held it in his mouth, staring blankly at the sky, wondering what he was thinking. After a long time, Sanji breathed out a smoke ring softly and sneered, what a fiasco. It's not an opponent at all. Is that the difference between a chef galloping on the ocean and me? It's too strong, Dino, you bastard. Sanji muttered to himself, will I go to sea someday? Dash 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 dash. Captain, then what exactly are you talking about? Maid asked. You've been talking about shaking the world since you left Sky Island, but you haven't said what your goal is. Scratching his heart. This time is of course no exception. When I said that I had a clear goal, but I didn't say it all the time, it was very annoying. Well, an amazing guy. Vlad smiled and scratched his head. I have a small goal, and if I want to accomplish this small goal, I must kill this amazing guy first. So now the goal is this amazing guy. Amazing guy. Chef smiled. How amazing is it? Well, you've heard. Vlad spoke slowly. Is this the Golden Lion? Mobile users, please visit Reading, a better reading experience. Chapter 174 I'm here to play with you. Golden Lion. Captain, you're not talking about the Golden Lion, are you? The chef suspected that he had heard it wrong. What? Are there any golden lions left in the ocean? Vlad asked in surprise. In other words, is our next target the legendary pirate? The chef spoke with some difficulty. Golden Lion. Maid touched her chin. It seems to have some impressions. Who is it? Is it amazing? It is of course great. After all, he is also the legendary pirate of the year. Vlad said, that's why he has enough weight. Hey hey hey. The chef looked a little heartbroken, and said slowly, Captain, are you serious? Are you going to fight against such a legendary pirate as soon as you come up? Even I am a little guilty. Woo ha 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 ha. Crack. 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 Vlad slapped the chef on the shoulder and made a snapping sound. Don't be afraid, chef, what's so scary? Isn't that Marine's former admiral, Black Arm Zephyr, also one of the legends of the previous generation? Or the legendary Marine who fought to the death with the One Piece King of Pirates Whitebeard Golden Lion? Didn't we also beat him? It's just an outdated legend. What is there to be afraid of? In a few decades, we will also be legends on the sea. At that time, when the pirates in the sea mentioned Dino, they would say, wow, that is the right and left hand of the legendary One Piece King of Pirates Fire Dragon Vlad, the evil chef Dino. It's so scary. Don't say the word terrifying, Captain. The title of bad chef doesn't feel worthy of the title of One Piece King of Pirates. The chef said with some confusion. Better than my battle maid. The maid was also annoyed, and yes, do you still expect Marine to come up with some crazy and cool name? Nice, Mr. Dino and Miss Baby 5. Serena looked at her two companions and said enviously, I really want to have a title of my own. There will be. The chef touched the head of Miss Musician and smiled, sooner or later on this ship, my partner will never be ordinary. Yeah. Serena nodded heavily. That's right, the Golden Lion is the pirate of the last era. The chef tried to bring the topic back to the right track, and said worriedly, but don't forget, Mr. Captain, the strongest man in the world now is the remnant of the previous era. And the pirate group he commands is the strongest in the sea. The pirates are coming, and the Golden Lion of his period is really the same as the Black Arm Zephyr who is missing a hand and is plagued by disease. Well, Golden Lion is different from Whitebeard. Vlad smiled, that old man is no longer the pirate admiral he used to be. What kind of guy is the Golden Lion? Strong, unquestionably strong, one of the three most terrifying pirates that crossed the sea in that era more than 20 years ago, able to compete with One Piece King of Pirates Gul D. Roger and Whitebeard Edward Newgate fighting monsters, some even nearly defeated the terrifying record of the Roger pirates. It can be said that if his ambition is to find Laugh Tale to become One Piece King of Pirates, then there may be nothing Roger, both his power and his own strength are amazingly powerful. After Roger was arrested or turned himself in, no one doubted that this man would take away the title of One Piece King of Pirates. After all, compared to Whitebeard, who valued his family's unwillingness to fight for hegemony, Golden Lion Shiki, who gathered terrifying strength and power, there's no reason why the man of the One Piece King of Pirates would miss the spot. However, what surprised everyone was that this man attacked Marineford alone. This behavior undoubtedly shocked everyone's attention. For anyone, as long as it was a pirate, Marineford was a forbidden place among forbidden places. It is an attack of entangled troops of the whole regiment, and it is also an act of courting death, let alone attacking alone. Without any accident, Shiki was defeated and captured alive by Admiral Sengoku and the hero Garp. The price paid was the destruction of half of the headquarters. Specifically, it was the destruction of Whitebeard's full punch, which can be said to be quite a small price. Not long, for these peak powerhouses, an island is really not enough to fight. The Golden Lion that was thrown into Impel Down soon made another big news. The underwater prison, where no one could escape, finally had the first case of escaped prisoners. Down escapes, once again making the world silent, and has since disappeared. Others don't know where the Golden Lion is and what they're doing. Can Vlad still know? Although the memory of the previous life is not so clear, but some major events are still very clear, including the movement of the Golden Lion. Golden Lion, who created an artificial sky island with his own abilities, started as an otaku with the same peace of mind as Moria from Shichibukai. He has been hiding on Sky Island for 20 years to conduct research, hoping to use the island's special plants to create ferocious monsters destroy East Blue to avenge the government. Woo ha 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 ha. Vlad can't help laughing whenever he thinks of such a thing, and this time is no exception. If Roger Whitebeard Garp Sengoku Zephyr, the old opponents of Golden Lion, know that his old opponents spent 20 years. Those guys will be stunned when they do such a thing. Because it is so ugly, these legends are afraid that they can't think that their old opponent can use such boring things for 20 years to satisfy his desire for revenge. Such a guy is still the one who swallowed the world. Golden Lion. So, Vlad said, don't worry, just like Zephyr broke a hand and was afflicted with disease, Golden Lion also broke a pair of legs and suffered a serious disease. He is no longer the same as he used to be. That Golden Lion. It's not that hard to beat him. The chef looked at his captain's excited expression and said softly, well, even if Golden Lion is really like the captain, it's not as good as it used to be, but now the problem is, Captain. We don't know where he is. The Golden Lion's fluttering fruit gives him super mobility. Where? Vlad smiled, well, this is a difficult problem, and I don't have any clues, only one thing I know. Vlad said, he's on a sky island. Sky Island. The maid was startled, so she just got off the Sky Island, is she going to get on again? I don't know exactly where this Sky Island is. Vlad scratched his head and smiled, it can only be said that East Blue is very likely. Quote. Quote. Neither the chef nor the maid said anything. Well. Vlad smiled, anyway, we still have Aishinal. Always found. Golden Lion, I'm here to play with you. Chapter 175 Island in the Sky. Where the hell is the Golden Lion? In fact, Vlad himself does not have a very good opinion on this issue. He also does not know where the old man of the previous era will be. After all, the island that Golden Lion rides on is not fixed, not like Sky Island. The same floats in a fixed position. Through the Golden Lion's ability to float the fruit is already an active ship. Although the speed and flexibility are not comparable to Vlad's ship, the Platinum Drag, in terms of convenience it is indeed far more powerful than Vlad's ship. The ability of the Golden Lion is really terrifying. It can easily hang a huge island permanently in the sky, and can even be used to smash people. Think about it, what kind of experience is a huge island falling directly from the sky? A terrifying force that can destroy an island at will. From Vlad's point of view, the Piao Piao fruit is much more useful than the Gen Gen fruit, and the Piao Piao fruit can only be used for fighting, but the Piao Piao fruit can easily build countless air fortresses, and the strategic significance is simply not a level. Vlad wanted that ability. East Blue is really big. Don't think that the Great Root is big. In fact, the Great Root is just a long and narrow sea around the world. Compared with the 4 seas, it is really not qualified in size. To visit East Blue, let alone Vlad is not sure if Golden Lion is really in East Blue, it's just a possibility. After all, Golden Lion's fluttering fruit provides super strong mobility, can catch up anywhere. Therefore, the Fire Dragon pirates started their search and began their journey to find the floating island in East Blue. That panic the natives of East Blue lasted for 4 full months. During these 4 months, the people of East Blue often saw a large ship with a pirate flag descending from the sky to replenish supplies. The time has come to a critical juncture of only 1 year before Luffy goes to sea, and there is not much time left for Vlad and his party. Are the dragon pirates still in East Blue? Marine headquarters, a man with a distinctive beard in a braided braid sitting behind the desk with a frowning look. The man's name is Sengoku, the great Buddha Sengoku, Marine Chief Admiral, the Marine Marshal who commands all Marines, currently in the world the Commander-in-Chief of the most powerful force. There is no doubt that he is a monster in both strength and power. What the hell are those guys stopping at East Blue for? Sengoku has absolutely no idea what the pirate group is thinking. He clearly has the power to move in and out of the New World, but he did run all the way from the New World to Paradise, and now he even ran to the 4 seas. He doesn't understand what he is thinking. What? They have their reasons for staying at East Blue, maybe there is something very important that attracts them, but it's not the most important thing for us. The thin old woman sitting on the side rested her chin in her hands and said solemnly, for Marine, catching them is the most important thing we should consider. Yes. Sengoku rubbed his eyes and said helplessly, but it's obviously impossible. East Blue's Marines are inherently weak, and even the most powerful smoker has been completely defeated by them. Not to mention the branch, although the Fire Dragon pirates are small in number, there is no doubt that they already have a top-notch pirate lineup. Even if the headquarters wants to win them, it is not easy. Yeah, that's what worries me the most, too. The chief advisor of the Marine headquarters, Suru Vice Admiral said, what's more troublesome is that this group of pirates also got a pirate ship that can fly, which is the most troublesome thing. That's right, the Fire Dragon pirates were originally a small group of pirates, and it was not easy to capture their tracks. Now they have got the flying pirate ship. Sengoku looked a little helpless. It's useless to know where they are. High altitude, after all, is a forbidden place for human beings like the deep sea. But there is good news. Suru Vice Admiral said solemnly, those guys don't seem to be interested in disturbing the order of East Blue. Although they occasionally come down to replenish supplies, they have not actually caused any trouble to the lives of the residents of East Blue. Of course, Crane. Sengoku said indifferently, isn't this a matter of course? Those guys, those pirates are very proud of themselves, they are very proud, I'm afraid they are all proud of their identity as men at sea. How can they do something that humiliates their identity? What they will never understand is that pirates are just pirates after all, and even if they think they are great, they are just a bunch of worms destroying the world order. Sengoku said so. It's because they don't understand, so Crane said, that's why we need our Marines in the ocean. Justice, someone has to maintain it. Morning and evening. Sengoku said coldly, sooner or later these worms in the sea will get rid of them all. Anyway, let that guy Borsellino go over there. The East Blue branch is panicking. Dash 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 dash. Hey, God, haven't you found out yet? Vlad lay on the deck and shouted in a bored voice. 4 months have passed since the Fire Dragon pirates began to search for the Golden Lion. During these 4 months, the Platinum Drager has almost flown all over the place. All East Blues are also relying on this big ship that can fly, so Vlad dares to be so mad. If he can't fly, don't even think about it. Don't think about doing such a thing without a year or two. But even after flying over most of East Blue, I still haven't found what I hoped to find, let alone Golden Lion. I haven't even found a hair on the floating sky island. Even if it is as open-minded as Vlad, it is inevitable that some anxiety after all. Finding a needle in a haystack is really a test of patience. Hey, God, haven't you found out yet? Vlad called Enel so loudly. It turned out that it was a very prescient thing to bring Enel on this ship at that time. Enel's observation hockey finally helped a lot at this time, with the spread of electromagnetic waves. Enel's observation hockey can cover the vast area of nearly 100 kilometers around it. It is really terrifying. It's no wonder that when he was on Sky Island, this man could cover the whole island with his heart net. Down. Enel lay leisurely at the stern and leaned against the cabin. This seems to have become his inherent territory. Except for sleeping and eating, he will lie here, and it can be said that it is very interesting to be in tandem with Vlad, who likes to sit on the head of the bow. Nothing, Enel shuddered suddenly, and the vast observation hockey finally noticed something. Hey, something has appeared. If there is nothing wrong, that is, the island in the sky. Mobile users, please browse Reading, a better reading experience. Chapter 176 Golden Lion comes out to play. Several huge islands are suspended above the sky without any support. It is completely different from the Sky Island that the Fire Dragon pirates have landed on. Sky Island is still an island suspended in the bay by high sea. Although the name is Sky Island, it is actually there is still support on the top, but these islands are completely different. Without any support, they are purely suspended in the sky, no matter how you look at them, it will feel strange. Of course, these islands were not originally sky islands, but were forcibly brought to the sky. Of course, they would not have the characteristics of Sky Island. Of course, the person who brought these sky islands to the sky would not be someone else. It can only be one of the great pirates active 20 years ago, one of the most famous legends in the sea, the flying pirates, the Golden Lion, Shiki. Only this guy's fluttering fruit can keep the island suspended in the sky for a long time, thereby forming an artificial sky island, and only he can do such a shocking thing. It's a really great ability, and the seawater has also been conquered by him. The surrounding islands are surrounded by seawater, which is amazing, just like seeing the Milky Way suspended in the sky. The seawater wraps around the islands. A thrilling feeling. Oh, what a beautiful scenery. Vlad sighed, who would have thought that there would be such a beautiful view in the sky high in the sky. No one would think so, and no one would think that the artificial sky island really exists, right? Golden Lion, there are really powerful guys. Vlad smiled, the sea is so magical, and there will be no shortage of these wonderful beauties. Although this kind of scenery is man-made, it is also a kind of beautiful scenery. Oh, I finally found it. This is really true. It really makes me find it easy. Senior Golden Lion. Vlad stood on the bow of the boat, looking complacent. After searching for 4 months, he finally found this senior. This is true. Is this the so-called hard work? Or is it another village? So, Captain, are we going to land? The chef said, there are several islands suspended in the sky, and it is not easy to find out which island the Golden Lion is on. Login. Vlad Vivi was stunned for a moment, then smiled, that would take so much trouble. There are quite a few of these islands, it's not easy to find that guy. Anyway, he can also fly. Wouldn't it be better to just let him come out and find us? Vlad thinks so. Why should he run around like a boss until he finds that guy? Isn't that too rude? Why should the seniors challenge themselves? Wouldn't it be a better choice to let him come out and fight on his own? Vlad has always been a self-confessed guy, never compromised with others, he was only responsible for doing things himself. He never wanted to use a challenge to find the Golden Lion. The current Golden Lion is not worthy of it. What? Hey, God, can you hear me? Vlad said, can you hear where the Golden Lion guy is? Quote. Enel didn't speak, and calmly raised 2 fingers and shook them. 2 bottles of wine, right? It's a deal. Vlad clapped his hands violently. After all, the price is not too big. Enel is still reluctant to admit that he is a member of the Fire Dragon Pirates, so every time he asks him for help, Vlad will give him a few bottles of wine as a reward. Vlad was also quite helpless about this. Golden Lion, isn't it? Enel Vivi was attentive. The rewarded Enel was very reliable. Observation hockey spread out with the help of untraceable electromagnetic waves, and instantly enveloped these islands suspended in the sky. Shiki, Shiki. Enel muttered to himself, the unique observation hockey is enough to hear all the sounds on the island. As long as the name Shiki or Golden Lion is mentioned once, Enel will never miss it. This man observation hockey light is range and application to come said that there are few in the whole world that can compare with him. Found. Golden Lion Shiki. Enel's eyes snapped open, a burst of electric light flickering visible to the naked eye. Oh, how reliable. God, did you find it so soon? Vlad patted Enel's shoulder with a big hand and laughed loudly. The partner he chose was really strong, and he had found the Golden Lion so quickly. Then he's there. Vlad looked expectantly and asked anxiously, where is that guy Golden Lion? Enel stretched out a finger and slowly pointed to an island, which looked no different from other islands, plain and unremarkable. Oh, right here. Vlad's body began to rise slowly, fiery red scales gradually covering the whole body. The huge wings broke away from the cloak and stretched out, with a strong smile on his hideous face. Well, you should retreat a little. I haven't moved my muscles for a long time. I haven't had a good fight in a long time. Vlad stretched his wings. It's rare that there is a rare strong man who can fight with me well, so you should retreat a little bit for me. Don't get involved later. Got it, Captain. The chef understands. Okay. The maid walked slowly into the wheelhouse, preparing to steer the ship away from the battlefield behind. Be careful, Mr. Captain. The musician said with some concern. Be careful. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad spread his wings and fluttered his wings lightly, and his whole body was already soaring into the sky. What a joke. Miss Musician, I'm going to bully the elderly. Whoosh. Just like a shooting star, Vlad's tall and fast body could not leave an image at all, and in just a few short breaths, he reached the island where the Golden Lion was located. Well, Senior, let me say hello to you. Vlad smiled, his hands clasped together, and the two hands covered with thick fiery red scales began to have white gold flames bursting out. Vlad pulled his hands, and a white gold long spear appeared in his hand, and there were some nihilistic white gold flames floating on the almost solid body of the spear. This trick is exactly the trick that Vlad used to inflict heavy damage on Marine's former Admiral Zephyr nearly a year ago. The long spear of the infinitely condensed platinum fire can instantly erupt with terrifying power, and its name is the Meteor Spear. Vlad smiled and posed a javelin-throwing posture, and all the muscles in his body began to tense. Hey, Senior Golden Lion. Vlad laughed loudly, come out and play. Whoosh. Vlad turned around suddenly, and the naked eye couldn't see the flame spear flying out, not even the trajectory, but suddenly, there was nothing in Vlad's hand. The Gun of the Comet. Chapter 177 The Legendary Pirate. Empty huge room. PFF'd. 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 It's like farting. The unpleasant sound echoed in this empty hall. A man walked slowly, wearing a pair of strange shoes. The unpleasant sound was his footsteps. I have to say that it is really amazing. The man looks very strange, his face is extremely pale, as if he has been powdered, and he has blue hair that looks like an explosive head. He is wearing a white lab coat and a blue scarf with yellow spots. His face was wide open, smiling like a fool. When walking, he looks like he is dancing and waving his hands. Puff puff puff. The sound like a cereal fart is very obvious. Can't you just fix your footsteps? Some old but energetic voices came from one side, so that every time I thought I had diarrhea. Drive Indigo. The golden man was floating in the air with a displeased tone. The old man was holding a cigar in his mouth. He had long lion-like hair and was draped over his back. He was wearing a yellow coat with a black kimono inside. This man crooked his mouth and looked very impatient. The most surprising thing is that this man's wide trousers have two long swords instead of feet, and a rudder is deeply embedded on his head, which can be said to be extremely unconventional. There is no second such man in the world. This man's name can only be Shaki, Golden Lion Shaki. Behind him was an orangutan in a suit, looking very funny. Can't you just hold back your damn footsteps? Shaki floated in front of Dr. Indigo. Vivi said angrily, Dr. Indigo. Woo with. Puff 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 puff. Named Dr. Indigo danced and made inexplicable sounds from his mouth, and he couldn't stop the fart-like sound under his feet. Oh oh oh. Shaki looked astonished. Is there something you want to say? Ah, this is really nerve-wracking. You can't speak. The orangutan in the back put his hands around his chest and nodded solemnly. Shaki-sama, research has made new progress. Dr. Indigo, who was only able to make strange sounds, suddenly stopped dancing and said abruptly, speaking at a natural and calm pace. Oh, anything new, that's great. Shaki was delighted at first, then his expression changed, his eyes seemed to protrude. You can talk. Card class. Dr. Indigo seemed to have accomplished something to be proud of, with strange laughter from his mouth, strange dances, and the sound of his footsteps was extremely unpleasant. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Clap clap clap. The orangutan on one side laughed and clapped with both hands. Hey, who is laughing? Shaki turned his head angrily, and saw the orangutan. Hey. Shiki froze, then said in shock, "Dad." Crack. Dr. Indigo slapped Shiki on the back of the head and screamed, "It looks like an orangutan, right? How could it be your dad?" "But I'm an orangutan too," Shiki replied. Crack. Dr. Indigo slapped Shiki on the head again, "Aren't you a lion?" "Oh." Golden Lion smacked his palm like a sudden realization, and said, "Yes, I am Golden Lion." PFF'd. Hey. Ha ha. Two people and one orangutan laughed and danced strange dances together, which can be said to be very happy. It was at this time that a creepy feeling suddenly appeared in Golden Lion's heart. Boom. A terrifying explosion broke out on this small island. Dash 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 dash. Oh. Vlad was facing the wind, a very strong wind, blowing him back again and again, and this kind of wind was not an ordinary wind. It was very hot, and the temperature had to be at least a few hundred degrees. The terrifying hot air cooked by normal people. The power of the hot wind emitted by the explosion alone has reached such a level, and the comet gun that directly hits the island has a more terrifying power, of course. The huge fireball has completely blocked Vlad's sight. He can no longer see the existence of the island. The huge fireball covers everything. Vlad didn't even see anything in the huge explosion. It was thrown out, and it should have been almost burned. This time, Vlad also restrained the tarsal maggot-like characteristics of the flame. Anyway, it is of no use to a real hockey master, and it is easy to reveal his identity. That ability should only be used to abuse vegetables and clean up the battlefield. Positioning has never been for people. However, Vlad has an intuition that the flame will soon usher in a new round of evolution. At that time, this somewhat tasteless attachment ability will also usher in evolution. Vlad has a clear feeling, as long as he completes the fire dragon fruit by himself. Awaken. Vlad's keen eyesight could easily see the current appearance of the island through the smoke. In part, a huge gap appeared on the island, and the flowing lava. Vlad could even smell a sweet fragrance. Gudong. Hold on, Vlad. Vlad said to himself, this is not the time to think about these things. Even though only part of it was left, the damage to the island from the blow just now continued. The flame, the unbridled flame raging on the island, was not Vlad's unique platinum fire, but an ordinary flame, Vlad. There is no reason why the island can't feel the hot wind of hundreds of degrees that can be felt from far away. The raging flames are really normal. Oh, what a great trick. Comet gun. Vlad put his arms around his chest and thought, would you like to come up with a star gun in the future? Ah, no, the next level should be the satellite gun, but the name feels so ugly. Call it the galaxy, the gun of the universe. Who is it? Asshole. A figure soared into the sky from the island, and the terrifying aura could be felt even from a distance. It's that guy messing around in Lao Tzu's territory. Chapter 178 Lion Power. Ferdinando. Vlad met the man Golden Lion Shiki for the first time. There was no doubt that he was indeed a man like a lion. He exuded a burst of momentum. Although he was 70 years old, his prestige still remained undiminished. Then, Golden Lion immediately noticed the existence of Vlad, and there was no other way. Compared with the complex ground environment, the sky was empty, and he could see far away at a glance. Vlad's position was completely irrelevant. Hidden. Not to mention that Vlad has no intention of hiding at all. He showed his figure generously. Anyway, he was looking for trouble for the other party. There is no objection to hiding. Besides, Golden Lion's observation hockey is not covered, although she lived in seclusion for 20 years and had not experienced any battles, but even she was weakened so that she could not hear anything. Oh, that's you, asshole, you're the one messing around in Lao Tzu's territory, right? Golden Lion floated in front of Vlad with a cigar in his mouth, his tone very reckless. Only then did Vlad notice that the man's clothes were somewhat charred, the kimono on the upper body was tattered, and the originally golden supple hair was a little curly, looking very embarrassed, but he didn't seem to be hurt at all. It seems that although it has been recuperating for 20 years, armament has not forgotten it. He didn't get hurt in such a huge explosion. What a formidable senior. Oh, this is the legendary great pirate, the admiral of the Golden Lion Pirates, the Flying Pirates, the senior Golden Lion Shiki. Vlad flapped his wings and hovered in the air, said with a smile, finally we meet. Roger, the 3 great pirates of the year, is already dead. I have never seen it before, but Whitebeard has seen it many times, and you are the only one left. Ah, Senior Golden Lion, only you can see but haven't seen it yet. Well, today finally fulfilled my wish. The last of the 3 pirates finally met. Vlad immediately wanted to put the name of Golden Lion on his notebook, the one that recorded the names of the top powerhouses he had witnessed with his own eyes, the one that Kuzan had signed, but after thinking about it, Vlad gave up this idea again. After all, as he said before, the Golden Lion is not the Golden Lion of the year after all. Is he still qualified to record you in Vlad's notebook? Just like the original Zephyr. After all, it's not as good as it used to be. Is he actually a kid? The corners of Golden Lion's mouth twitched up, looking very interested. Vlad is now in a half-dragon state, and his body is covered in scales. Usually, let alone his age and appearance, even his gender depends on his body. The muscles of the beating to confirm, so only when Vlad opened his mouth to speak Golden Lion knew that this guy is still a young brat this time. Speaking of which, Vlad is 22 years old this year. No matter what he is a man who stands above the ground. But to these legends on the sea, he is still a little devil. Well, but it doesn't matter, isn't the so-called senior just used to surpass it? The newcomers are stepping on the shoulders of the old ones. No matter where they are, such rules are universal. Vlad has no idea of letting the remnants of the old era get in his way. I finally see you, Senior Golden Lion. Vlad smiled, I've been looking for you for half a year. Flying over this East Blue, I found it very hard. Gia ha 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 ha. Little devil. Golden Lion laughed loudly, I'm not drinking milk in my mother's arms, are you coming to find me to die? Well, although the woman I should be a mother by blood is really a very annoying guy, but I will inevitably be a little angry when I hear you say that. Vlad said softly, forget it, who asked me to come this time to let Senior Golden Lion do me a favor? I will forgive you, as long as you are willing to help me. Gia ha 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 ha. Golden Lion laughed, little devil, do you know who you're talking to? In such a tone. Golden Lion's eyes snapped, murderous aura burst forth, who do you think Lao Su is? Golden Lion suddenly flipped his right hand, and an invisible and strange power rippled around him. Boom! The dull roar stunned the sky, and the island that had been hit by Vlad's comet gun before moved quickly and hit Vlad directly. Little devil, do you know what you just did? Golden Lion roared loudly, waved his left hand again, the huge island's movement speed increased sharply, and even brought a splendid wind. I have 20 years of research results ruined by you bastard. How do you want to compensate me? Shaki's heart was bleeding. When he thought that Dr. Indigo had been shattered by the explosion just now, Shaki's urge to kill could not be suppressed at all. After 20 years of hard work, he hoped that he could destroy East with the help of those murderers. Blue, able to avenge the government, but just now, the executor of the research, his deputy, Dr. Indigo, suddenly died of an unknown AoE, which also means that his 20 years of time was wasted. Golden, how could Lion not be angry? Is this the power of the fluttering fruit? Vlad sighed like a primary school student on a spring outing. It's terrifying to use an island to smash people directly. That's great. I want this ability too. Vlad smiled. Well, it's useless though. Who can hit such an attack? Vlad said this, his wings vibrated violently, and the tall figure blurred instantly, turning into a red shadow and piercing the sky like lightning. Although the speed of the island controlled by Shaki was also fast, it was nothing compared to Vlad's speed, and he didn't even have the chance to get behind Vlad's back. Although such a huge island can be smashed directly, it can achieve strong destructive power, but if you want to move such a huge object, even the golden lion may not be able to give it enough speed. Vlad wants to avoid it too easily. After all, the dragon is the ruler of the sky. Vlad didn't even use observation hockey. If you can't notice such a huge attack, the dragon's keen eyes can really go gout. When passing the island, Vlad has more room to breathe. I took a mouthful of the lava floating out from the melting mountain, as expected of the lava burned by my own platinum fire, and the taste was very good. That is this time. Lion power, Earth scroll. Vlad heard such a voice. Boom. The island in front of Vlad roared, the lion head made of huge mud broke out of the ground, and the ferocious mouth instantly engulfed Vlad who passed by. The huge lion head made of mud opened its mouth and swallowed Vlad directly, then turned its head and slammed into the island that had stopped moving, kicking up a large piece of dust. Become a small mountain. The golden lion was suspended above the small earthy mountain, with a coldness in his eyes. Of course, he would not think that it would be so easy to kill Vlad. To be able to come to such a 10,000-meter high-hanging sky island, he could destroy it with one blow. How easy is it to solve a guy who is half an island? What's more, Vlad's appearance is that he can manipulate flames and zone transforms. Shaki almost immediately concluded that he is a mythical capable person. It is a strange thing that such a guy is not a monster. Shaki is very understand this. The ability of the fluttering fruit is the ability to float oneself and the non-living objects that one has touched. It is indeed a very simple ability, but in practice it is undoubtedly a terrifying ability, even if it is released. Among the parameshes where freaks are frequent, it is also considered to be the strongest ability. There is no doubt that it is the top paramesha fruit that can compete with Whitebeard's shock fruit. What Golden Lion is showing now is the power of another level of fluttering fruit. Since it can make objects float at will, of course, it means that Golden Lion already has the ability to control these objects. By making some objects look like a specific direction floating to form a trick such as lion power, Earth scroll, the destructive power is very considerable. Of course, such a considerable amount is of course compared to ordinary people. For ordinary people, such power is indeed very powerful, but compared to those monsters whose fists can blow up a mountain, such an attack is in the tickle it. Very honored, Vlad belongs to such a monster. It is still too early to attack him like this. There. The platinum pillar of fire rose into the sky. Without the slightest obstruction, the earthy mountain covering Vlad was directly melted by the terrifying flames and turned into puddles of magma on the ground, flowing recklessly. Phew. Golden Lion Shaki Vivi squinted his eyes and looked at the little devil who was standing in the lava, flapping his wings gently and raised his head to look at himself, and said with a smile, Hey, this is really amazing power. Aren't you even afraid of lava? Shaki smiled, with a playful look. That magma kid from Marine probably only cried when he met you, right? Akainu. Vlad Vivi Isho, who knows this? Should it be said that seniors are so arrogant? It's okay to call yourself a kid, after all, I'm only in my early 20s, but that guy Akainu is already 50 years old. This guy Golden Lion, really? How stupid. Vlad has no doubt that if Golden Lion didn't use his fruit ability to escape, he and the magma kid he called him would have no other way than being melted alive by the magma. He is not Whitebeard, although he is severely ill, but when not sick, the fighting power is still undiminished. Guys who can't face themselves are the stupidest. It doesn't matter if you are arrogant or arrogant. Is this the lion power? Chapter 179 That's all. Wow, what a great trick. Vlad exclaimed, just a little bit. You almost got killed in this mound by Senior Golden Lion, fluttering fruit, it's really amazing. Gia ha 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 ha. Golden Lion's forehead bulged with blue veins, and anyone could hear the mockery in Vlad's tone. How could the arrogant Golden Lion stand up to Vlad's mockery? Little devil, if you want to provoke me, then I admit, you have done it. I am very angry now. Golden Lion's arms slammed open and waved fiercely, Lion Might, Imperial Scroll. The earth was distorted in just an instant, as if there were some giant beasts roaring out from under the ground. The ability of the fluttering fruit was used to the extreme by the golden lion, and the amazing power was revealed. Boom! Entire island is the weapon of the golden lion, and everything trembles under his power. Bang! The huge island was directly broken and divided into two halves. Immediately, the wreckage of the two islands twisted and changed, and two huge lion heads emerged out of thin air. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Roar. The roar that resounded through the sky was obviously just a lion made of stone soil, but it actually made a terrifying chirping sound. Take it, boy. Golden Lion's tone was cold and stern, his expression stern, and he shouted, "Try this trick well." I didn't see how the golden lion moved, and two huge lion heads blasted directly at Vlad. This move is completely different from the previous lion power, Earth Scroll. The size and strength are completely different. Even with Vlad's strength, being hit by such a move will not have any good results. Fortunately, he didn't have to be hit either. Hey, Golden Lion. Vlad smiled, even though it was covered with thick fiery red scales, but this playful smile was clearly visible. My speed is 3 times that of a normal model. Vlad is like lightning, and the speed is amazing. No matter how big the two gigantic lions were, they still couldn't get much better in the face of Vlad's terrifying speed and couldn't catch up at all. Golden Lion Senpai. Vlad's blood is already burning. Let me teach you well, what is the change of times? So fast. Golden Lion's pupils shrank. This little devil is so fast. Senior, take the call. Bear. Vlad's right hand clenched his fist, the jet black armament hockey was attached to it, and white gold flames roared out, Dragon Fist. Golden Lion immediately felt a huge amount of heat rushing towards his face, and there was a feeling that his hair was starting to burn. Although it was not as terrifying as the high temperature that he felt during the explosion, it was extremely amazing. One bone, blast. Golden Lion directly with the terrifying force that was enough to shatter the earth. Chopping. The Golden Lion shouted loudly, swung his right leg violently, and the splendid flying slash burst out of the air. This is a terrifying force that is enough to smash an island. It can be said to be amazing. Boom. Two powerful forces collided above the sky, and an earth-shattering explosion resounded through the sky. Hey! PFF'd. Vlad broke through the smoke and approached the Golden Lion like lightning. Woo ha 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 ha. Senior. Vlad laughed wildly, the flames roaring from his body. Let's try it again. Rapid burial. The flames gushed out of Vlad's body like a torrent. Boom. Golden Lion like a flood. The flames, the overwhelming flames, the flames like the ocean of flames, really lived up to the name of the move that Vlad racked his brains to come up with. It was indeed a move that could directly bury the opponent like a torrent. The terrifying high temperature was recklessly pervading, and nothing could stop them. The flames themselves had not spread, and the air that seemed to be boiling had already attacked first, and the surrounding temperature had reached a scary level. The Golden Lion was engulfed by the flames without a chance to react at all. The white gold flames like water swept Shiki in an instant, just like a lion was washed away by a flood. Even if the overlord of the grasslands was facing a natural disaster, it is also powerless in the time of the flood. However, this lion is not an ordinary lion. He is the Golden Lion, the overlord of the sky, the legendary flying pirate, and the most powerful man. Scoff. The air screamed violently, and the terrifying slash cut through the sky. The sky seemed to dim in an instant. The bright sky seemed to have reached dusk in an instant. Only this slash was left between the heaven and the earth. The golden yellow, incomparably vast terrifying slash that seemed to tear the entire sky apart. It was amazing. Although it was a flying slash with his feet, it was already more powerful than 99% of the swordsmen in the sea. It was unparalleled and extremely sharp. Whoosh! The slashing like a moonwheel directly slashed Vlad's flames, and the incomparably hot flames were directly separated into a huge opening. The slashing force disappeared and came directly at Vlad himself. It was completely proportional to his power. When Vlad saw the slash in his eyes, the slash was already in front of him. Ooh! However, in such a battle, the role of the eyes has been weakened to the limit, and the eyes are often far less useful than imagined, so Vlad's observation hockey is running at full strength, and fighting this old senior can't be taken lightly, although it is the old man, but time will not let them be so weak and unable to fight. The astonishing observation hockey completely grasped the golden lion's slash, and Vlad could easily grasp even the golden lion's slash at a high speed that was difficult to grasp with the naked eye. Hey! Vlad spread his wings violently, and the figure disappeared in place in an instant. The extremely keen observation hockey and the amazing flying speed are equal to the super evasion ability, although it can't reach the metamorphosis of Kategory's future prediction and elemental body. Dodge, but Vlad in this sky is absolutely difficult to be hit. The slash slashed at Vlad's side in an instant, and in a blink of an eye, he was already far away, and Vlad easily passed by Golden Lion's slash. Scoff. There was a dull sound. Behind Vlad, an island was directly split in half by a huge slash, but it did not fall down, and was still suspended in the air, so it could be clearly seen that the two halves were divided into two halves. Those incredibly smooth cuts between islands. Oh, it's really tough. Senior Golden Lion. Vlad hovered in the air with his arms around his chest and watched as the Golden Lion Shaki, surrounded by a pitch-black armament hockey, cut through the sea of fire and flew out. He smiled. Is he only injured so much? This is really, I am very disappointed. Ah, wouldn't it be better to just be burned to death by the blow just now? How dare you say it? Little devil. Golden Lion's tone was cold and severe. The cigar in his mouth was burned into nothingness as early as the first time. The clothes on his upper body had been completely destroyed, revealing his majestic body even in his old age, and even the long golden hair behind him was burned. Lost a lot. The black signs dissipated from Shaki's body, revealing his red, burnt-looking upper body. What's more interesting, even though the black armament hockey has dissipated, there is still a black mark on Shaki's chest. Vlad's sense of smell was very keen, and he could smell a faint smell of meat. But even though it smells bad, it's still a powerful flame. Golden Lion lowered his head and looked at his chest, which he had been hit in a hurry without any defenses. His face was gloomy as water. He no longer saw the kid in front of him as an ordinary junior. The power displayed by this fire dragon kid far from being comparable to those same young goblins on the sea. Well, it's still early. Vlad smiled. Isn't it too funny to start sighing now? Where is this going? Boom. Flames spewed out from Vlad's back. It's just the beginning. Senior. The flames are advancing. Vlad's flames can spew out from any part of the body. Such an advantage Vlad was only used for fighting before, but after seeing the burst form of the maid, Vlad sighed, I'm so special. Okay. So Vlad has the current form, and flames continue to spew out from his back and all joints, bringing not only attack power, but also whoosh. What? Golden Lion's eyes are really like lions, shrinking violently, and the instinct of cats is exquisitely reflected in this man. It is no wonder that Vlad's power is really amazing. Bang! Golden Lion only had time to sigh, and then the terrifying flames of platinum-colored fists slammed into his face. This is Dragon Fist, blast a bone. Vlad laughed. Chi-chi-chi. Even the cheeks of Golden Lion, already covered in pitch-black armament hockey, were still sizzling, and Vlad's platinum fire was no joke. Whoosh. Fortunately, Golden Lion's cheek and Vlad's fist were in contact with only a handful of times, and Golden Lion, who was directly knocked away by Vlad, probably didn't feel any burning sensation. Because, the impact of this punch alone has made his mind go blank, and it has made his cheeks instantly numb and lose all consciousness. Is there still time to feel the scorching heat? PFF'd. Golden Lion spat out a large mouthful of blood, visible to the naked eye, accompanied by a tooth, and his eyes were full of disbelief. Even when he fought with Roger Whitebeard Garp Sengoku Zephyr, he never encountered such a thing, and Mao did not touch it. When the opponent was directly knocked out of a tooth, What kind of gaffe was this? But now there's no time for Golden Lion to blame himself. Vlad's attack has come again. When a terrifying power came from the fist blocked by the sword, and a flash of shock could not help flashing in Golden Lion's eyes, such a huge power. I'm afraid it can already be compared with Newgate when he was young. What are you thinking about, Senior? Vlad's body twisted sharply, also wrapped in pitch-black hockey, and the thick tail wrapped in flames was drawn directly at Golden Lion's waist. Whoosh! Once again, Golden Lion was once again beaten by his juniors. Hey, what are you doing, Golden Lion? Vlad did not look happy at all, but instead yelled angrily, "You bastard!" Is that so? Chapter 180 Old Age of Lion Minions are still profitable. Vlad is very disappointed, extremely disappointed. Is this the Golden Lion? Is this the level of the monsters that fought against the One Piece King of Pirates 20 years ago? Will it be too weak? What is this? Is this level also matched with Roger Whitebeard? Although Vlad had a hunch that the Golden Lion would no longer be the legendary pirate that dominated the world, he never thought that the former pirate he was very dreaded had turned into this. Although I don't know what the hockey level was like in the past, but I can compete with those monsters evenly. In the face of this man who is not weak, in the face of a guy like Whitebeard, the hockey cultivation base back then should be terrifying, but now fra what did Ted see? Observation hockey is not sharp enough, and Vlad's direct attacks cannot be fully predicted, let alone a person like Vlad who has insight into the sequence of opponents' moves. Armament is even more so. Even Zephyr, who is seriously ill, can resist Vlad's flames to a great extent, but the Golden Lion, who is strong and has no pain at all, will be burned by Vlad's flames even if armament is fully armed. Which has to be said to be very tasty. The last thing is the body. The monsters in this world are completely different from those aunts and aunts in Vlad's previous life. Time cannot weaken their strength. Now the 70-year-old Garp Sengoku is still the same as before, he can still take off his clothes and start fighting. However, this guy called Golden Lion is far from the level of the top powerhouse in terms of strength and reaction. Such a level is really disappointing to Vlad. Hockey can only grow in the fierce battle, and now this Golden Lion can't provide the fierce battle that Vlad wants. It seems that 20 years has really corrupted you. Vlad stopped chasing, without the slightest smile on his face. What do you look like, Golden Lion? Who? Golden Lion was knocked away by Vlad with a flick of his tail, and he managed to stop his body. He was gasping for breath, and his eyes were cloudy. Vlad's 2 consecutive attacks made him really suffer. Not a small injury. Cut. Golden Lion Vivi bowed his head, his ribs were blurred, almost burning, his face was still numb. He didn't recover, this kid. Is this level really the legendary great pirate who fought against Roger back then? Vlad spared no effort to sneer. Ah, it seems that Roger is the same. He was almost defeated by a guy like you. It's too ugly, right? The position of One Piece King of Pirates is really like, is it as sublime as I think it is? Answer me, the so-called legend of the sea. Vlad Vivi tilted his head. Is that all there is to it? It's too weak. Little devil. Golden Lion's forehead burst with blue veins. No matter who he is, he must not like others to insult him. Of course, he wants to exclude a kind of life called shaking. At least, Golden Lion will feel angry when he is insulted by others. Are you looking for death? Golden Lion has never been a person with a lot of air. He is undoubtedly proud of his sailing in the past few decades. Although he has not achieved his goal of dominating the sea, he is only with Roger, Newgate, and Garp Sengoku Zephyr. The confrontation is already a precious memory. How can Golden Lion accept such an insult? Chopping. Golden Lion spun around suddenly, and a huge slash burst out of the air, directly slashing at Vlad. Golden Lion roared, "Boy! Let me teach you. Why is Senior called Senior? Roger. It's One Piece King of Pirates. Only One Piece King of Pirates, Gall D. Roger." Golden Lion truly admires him. Golden Lion is willing to admit his failure. He was indeed completely defeated by Roger. Golden Lion will never deny this. So, he is even more reluctant to hear someone insult Goldie Roger. He doesn't want to. Who the hell is looking for death? Vlad shouted, old man. Who can't see the times? The flames spewed rapidly, Vlad flapped his wings, and on the fiery red body, the white gold flames burned, even a meteor would not be so gorgeous and fast. Crackling. Vlad did not evade, and rushed directly to the chopping of the Golden Lion. There was no need to dodge. He wanted to defeat the Golden Lion head-on. Vlad wanted to make this old man understand what the change of times was. Vlad's iron fist directly shattered Golden Lion's slash. Slashing is not the strongest move of swordsmen. Although it has the widest range, the strongest is undoubtedly the sword in their hands. The condensed power is always stronger than the outgoing slashing. Bang! Vlad's iron fist smashed on the spine of Golden Lion's sword, the sound of golden and iron symphony resounded in the sky, and the air waves like flames spread. How much do you think Lao Tzu is looking forward to fighting with you? Vlad slammed it out with a hard punch, flames sprayed from his elbow, and provided him with great strength. Is it just such a thing? When Golden Lion raised his sharp blade to block Vlad's iron fist, but it couldn't stop the flames from splashing. Golden Lion only felt that what was in front of him was not a fist but the sun. That was because he had to be armed with hockey all the time to be able to resist. Scorching heat. Bang! Armament's hardened fist slammed into his face. Are you tickling me? Vlad roared. The Golden Lion's fist couldn't even knock him back. After all, this old man was not known for his strength. Big broken. The thick thighs slammed directly on Golden Lion's soft stomach. I am very angry. PFF'd. Along with Vlad's roar, Golden Lion spat out a mouthful of blood. Boy! Crack! Flash of edge, Golden Lion's legs slammed upwards. Bah! Sparks splattered, the Golden Lion's sword slashed fiercely on Vlad's stomach, and observation hockey fully launched the already foreseen Vlad armament hockey, which had already been prepared without leaving any gaps. Scoff! Golden Lion was blasted away by Vlad's kick, but at the same time, Vlad's stomach also had a shallow wound. Hey, wasn't the knife just now very powerful? Vlad smiled. I almost cut my stomach open. Cough cough. Little devil. Golden Lion stabilized his body, coughed twice, and said slowly, who the hell are you? Didn't I tell you? Vlad smiled. I hope you can do me a favor, Senior, that's why I came all the way here. I was looking forward to it when I came. The legendary big pirate, Golden Lion Shaki, fought with One Piece King of Pirates Whitebeard. What does the big pirate look like? But very disappointed. Vlad shook his head. I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. Is this guy in front of me really that Golden Lion? Too bad. Whether it's hockey or physique, swordsmanship or reaction, can you really match up with that big pirate? Golden Lion's face gradually darkened. What disappoints me the most is... Vlad's face was sneering. You actually spent 20 years researching some bullshit berserk monsters. My god, Golden Lion, have you forgotten? Pirates rely on themselves, always on their own. Fist and sword. What's the use of those bullshit? Vlad roared. How on earth is it worth your 20 years? Losing your legs hits you so hard. You can't use a sword. You're incapable. Your hockey useless. You're not a Golden Lion anymore. Tell me, Golden Lion. What the hell are you afraid of? Where did your aura go? Vlad's face sank and he said loudly, what about your dignity as a lion? Woo. Gia ha 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 ha. Slowly letting out a breath, Golden Lion suddenly burst out laughing. Boy, indeed, your strength is extraordinary, your fruit ability, hockey, and spirit are all at a very powerful level. Seeing you is like seeing you. Same as Roger Whitebeard back then. Quote. But brat. Golden Lion laughed loudly and shouted, if you just want to challenge Lao Tzu like this, it's too ignorant. Lion power, Tianchi Valley. The golden lion kicked continuously, and the endless chops rushed towards Vlad like rain. Every slash was a terrorist attack that could split an island in the sky. I don't know what it means. Vlad laughed. I don't know who the so-called person is. Vlad's body suddenly began to expand, and the flames shot up into the sky. When the flames dissipated, a huge fire dragon appeared in the sky. Dragon Vlad, here we come. Roar. A furious roar came from Vlad's mouth. Vlad fluttered his wings, and armament hockey covered his arms and galloped toward the golden lion. Ding ding ding. With a series of explosions, Vlad blocked his arms in front of him, directly ignoring the countless chops of Golden Lion, and rushed towards Golden Lion. What a beast! Golden Lion snorted coldly, waved his hand, and an island began to move slowly. Roar! Vlad roared again, with a dazzling white light flashing in his mouth, destroyed. Scoff! There was no earth-shattering sound, just a very low voice. A white beam of light spewed out of Vlad's mouth and slammed into the Golden Lion in seconds. What? Golden Lion only had time to spit out a word before being enveloped in white light. Everything near the beam of light begins to melt and burn. Terrifying temperatures spread. Little devil. The full-bodied voice resounded in the sky. Kang. The two slashes crossed, forming a cross-shaped appearance out of thin air, cutting Vlad's flame beam like a broken bamboo, and slamming heavily on Vlad's chest. Vlad was hit from a distance for the first time. Return. Oh, this is... Vlad was a little surprised. There was actually a crossed scar on his chest deeply imprinted on his dragon scales. This was something that Golden Lion could never do before. Isn't that great, Golden Lion? Vlad changed back to his dragon form and smiled excitedly. Little devil, the real battle has just begun. Golden Lion smiled. Don't fall down too soon. His hands are indeed holding two swords.